I know. Technically, these are not buttons. They're just like little icons of like volume, and this one is just an icon of an eyeball of what's showing and not showing, and so I'm turning it off. And hi, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to Discussing Tabletop. It's later in the
It's
day.
later.
I was busy for part of the afternoon. And I had fun. I was out in the world, experiencing world stuff in
It
various
was
ways.
kind of nice to come home from work and not have to be on my computer talking.
I mean, yes, I can understand that feeling. I like that you join a lot, Momo, but
I didn't do anything with that time, but I got to just chill.
Damien.
I'm reading this
Would've been
meme
hanging
about
out.
making a Leviathan lobster god, and I approve.
Oh, well, I mean, the meme's not possible because lobsters don't actually live forever.
Oh, I'm sad to hear this.
They live for nearly forever.
It's one of those weird internet myths that no
Yeah.
one knows how it got started.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of
And I
things.
wanted to be ruled by our new lobster overlords.
I mean, there's plenty of things that live nigh forever. They like live
There's
really long.
a jellyfish that's technically immortal.
It just keeps reincarnating.
Yeah, that's real. Lobsters, however, not immortal.
I was gonna say lobster's not real.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure lobsters are real. Sorry
Quiet.
to disappoint you.
No.
they're all crabs in Tantus' eyes.
Yeah, they're eldritch lobsters.
That lobster's just a weird crab.
Anyway, hi everybody.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm here.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. No one knows what's going on.
I mean, I don't know what's going on, and I have heat wave brain, so
Yeah. But welcome. We've got a bunch of things to talk about. Let's just start with it. Magic's going to increase its prices.
Because they don't make enough money.
They don't make enough money. I think that's the problem, is if the money that they earned was kind of, stagnant and they hadn't had record profits for the last 2 years, I would have been a little bit more receptive to them saying, hey, after like 3 decades, we're increasing the price now
feel
by
like
11%.
11%'s a lot.
Yeah.
However, I feel like, well, printing costs and shipping costs have actually gone up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they were just waiting for a chance to do it.
Honestly, I agree.
11% doesn't sound like a lot, but it also depends what your base price is.
Depending on what you're buying, it's a lot.
Because this is both draft set boosters, collector boosters, bundles, and jumpstart boosters, which
It'll
is
make
a lot.
It'll make packs more expensive individually, but you won't feel as much of a hit on the boxes.
Yes.
So this might also be incentivizing people to buy the boxes.
Yeah, I can see that it's like incentivizing a little bit more purchasing. Because like a box, 11%, that's still something. That's like, if you buy a box for $100, it's going to be around $110 now. That's a difference.
I'd also be a little more understanding if Kamigawa didn't sell 30% more than Kaldheim did, which was their last set. Also, Kaldheim was boring, so I can understand why it sold more.
I mean, that's very true. Unfortunately, I have to agree.
Kaldheim was Vikings. Okay. Who cares?
Yeah.
Doesn't have
Vikings are the
boxes.
thing right now.
Are they?
Yeah, they're making a Viking movie. They made a Viking video game. Now they're making Viking cards. Vikings are the thing right now. Just like how vampires used to be the thing. It's just the thing now.
I think it's the problem with Magic is that like sometimes they have these like chasers of, in quotation, the thing, but it doesn't work even if you're out in the correct amount of time. Like they got out Kaldheim in the time period where Vikings were pretty big. The problem is that doesn't just capture the mainstream audience. At most, you're looking at the nerd audience, which already has a lot of Viking things, and so you have to like stand out. It was fairly generic Viking, things like I'll say like if I talk about like some Viking things which I can think of in mind, they have the Viking movie that's pretty good. I can't remember what it's called, but it's supposed to be a pretty good one. That's out now. Other Viking things that actually like stood out. The Last God of War, which are doing another one, where it's Vikings and Kratos. And that's kind of cool, because this thing is like, they did a much better job on that character, and everybody was like, oh, cool, we like this character, but he's also now in a Viking world, which made it better. So it's sort of like you had a linchpin to make that better. You know, it's not just Vikings. You know, and Vikings are fine. You know, it's just like ninjas and pirates, they're fine. You just, unfortunately, it's been done a lot. Do something different. Kamigawa Neon Destiny, that's something different.
Yeah. Now, the price increase is set to go forward for the new Dominaria set for the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
But the commander decks will increase in price when New Capenna comes out.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they're already charging a lot. The thing is,
they're already very expensive.
They've proven they can charge they can sell a decent commander set with a pack with a deck for $20. They've not been doing that since like 2 years ago. But they proved they could produce those for like $20. Because again, like these commander sets, they're 100 cards.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them are like about a third of them to a fourth of them. No, third to a fifth of them. For like 34 cards at least are lands. Those cost nothing, you know. And again, it's like the amount printed. Like 100 cards is equivalent to what? Like it's less than 10 packs because packs are 15. So honestly,
it's not that much. And a commander set, I think, for New Capenna is going to be like $40, which is, in my opinion, a lot.
It's a lot.
Really not worth it.
No. I kind of had backed out of buying commander sets anyway. I know if I just wanted the cards for them to get them individually. But the problem is then it's sort of like you have to wait for them either to drop in price when they go out of standard or, you know, hope that they never gain price.
Because if we look at comparatively a New Capenna draft box, which is 36 packs, 541 cards, that's $100. About. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's more value to just buy the booster box at this point.
They're devaluing yourself and messing up a lot. Like, the thing is, they've already been... Again, they have announced they have earned record profits on the Magic the Gathering side over the last 2 years. Mainly because of Secret Layers. Why do they need to do this?
I can definitely see, because prices have increased across every industry.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like Hasbro was waiting for the chance to do this.
I'm sure. What the heck is it, Damien?
Meow 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 meow.
Hi, you can be on my lap for a little bit. I'll get the pillow, since you don't sit on laps very well. So now this little pillow here, which I've used to sit you on sometimes, you can be here. There you go. I don't know. Honestly, like, for someone like me who buys a box, it's going to be a little bit of a difference, but not a huge difference.
Yeah, like, I buy, at least I used to, I'm going to start doing it. I buy 2 boxes a year. It's not going to be much of a difference for me. Someone who buys more than that and likes to actually buy individual packs or commander decks are going to get affected a lot more.
Yeah. And I don't like the collector boosters or set boosters. I just get the draft boosters, which I'm hoping... The thing is, they try to phase those out, but I like those boxes. I like the draft set.
I don't know if they can, because draft is still a very popular thing.
Yeah. But it's like, as long as they're 4 sets a year, I can probably buy 4 boxes a year, honestly. That's within my price range, usually.
Like, I bought a Kamigawa set pack, and it was like... It definitely felt less value than the draft box.
Mm-hmm.
Although, that said, you do get guaranteed rares in every pack with a set booster.
Mm-hmm.
So you can theoretically make your money back if you sell cards.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't sell cards. I just play the game.
But what secondary market?
Yeah, what secondary market? That's not real.
Yeah, that's not a real thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Ignore this thing that says obvious secondary market. I don't know anything about it.
Ignore the fact that we released a broken Planeswalker, and she's very expensive currently.
I wonder why.
Weird.
Was it Elspeth or Vivian or Obnixless this time? I haven't paid attention to.
I don't know, but Wandering Emperor is like super expensive.
Oh, the Wandering Emperor was pretty. Oh yeah, I remember.
She's pretty busted.
Yeah.
Also, side tangent: Devoted Druid's broken again because of New Capenna.
Yay.
You can get infinite mana a turn now with a card combination. You shouldn't do it, but it works by the rules.
It's the age-old,
You really shouldn't do it, but technically it works.
I feel like they playtest less nowadays when it comes to stuff like this.
It's a great way to get you kicked out of your gaming club. That's just some bullshit, and you shouldn't do it.
But speaking of Wizards, there is another big thing that Wizards did this week that's important to talk about. They had DnD Direct.
They did. I didn't watch any of it. I just saw the announcements.
Yeah, I kind of highlighted through the announcements afterwards. So, the big things they announced are, of course, there's a starter set, and there's these campaign cases. These are all neat. A new starter set is a new adventure, so it's not going to be the Mines of Stupidity.
Lost Mines of Side Quest.
The big thing is they announced a 3-book pack of Spelljammer.
Yeah, that Spelljammer's honestly Spelljammer's been their go-to April Fool's joke for 4 years. I don't know what they're gonna do now.
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah, they actually have Spelljammer. They had a little animatic of it and all, and honestly, it. I don't know if it set the tone quite right, but it was good enough. I think that it's sort of
It's another setting.
It's a setting I've always enjoyed because it's like a weirder setting.
I've never been involved in Spelljammer. Fun fact.
My first game on stream was a Spelljammer game. It didn't go well because I was trying to adapt it from early edition stuff to 5th edition.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it would go very well.
Adapting stuff to 5th edition is not easy.
No.
I mean, the best thing that ever happened in that is that 2 of the characters were popping in and out of a bathroom to try to because they were at an illegal auction. They were trying to get something in, like a space auction, and 2 of a gnome and a tabaxi entered and an elf left or something. It was just
weird.
And, people were noticing there's weird. What was going on in this bathroom? Anyway, that's memorable moments. And they didn't really say anything about it, but they announced Dragonlance.
Yeah, there's going to be a Dragonlance adventure module. Which is cool for me because Dragonlance was the first D&D setting I've ever played in.
Okay.
Also, I like the book series. It's that classic 80s fantasy bullshit.
Mm-hmm. But I'm fine with that, It's, character options.
Citizen of the
Honestly,
Empire.
Hi, Blaze.
Kind of knew a Dragonlance book was coming since they already released one. They released basically a setting book for it, and now they're releasing the adventure module for it. Kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah. I mean, they've got we don't know what they're gonna have for Dragonlance.
Yeah, we don't really know a lot about it.
We know for Spelljammer, it's the 3 books. Each are 64 pages, so it's it's an excuse to charge you more, maybe.
I feel because it's a $70 bundle. I feel like that's the only reason they're different books, because you could just condense these into a single book.
Yes, and it would be now granted 192 pages is big, but again,
it's not even that long for a tabletop RPG book.
But
that's amateur hour.
Yeah, but you could probably cut a lot of stuff if you're combining all 3 of them, honestly, kind of thing, So even 150 pages. It's big, I guess, for 5th edition. 5th edition likes their streamlined books. It seems
they do like their tiny books. But we're gonna get Astral Elves, which is cool because we needed more elves.
Not enough elves.
I mean, the robot gnomes are fine.
Robot gnomes are fun. GIF, I love GIF because they're stupid. You can be a slime girl.
And
they already had rules for that.
Weird bug people.
The Thrycreen. Look, you if you're a Thrycreen, you have to play a Thri-Kreen Ranger because then you're a Mighty Morphin Thri-Kreen Ranger.
Yeah, exactly. Also, there's the weird funky alien.
Yeah, Hadose. The Hadose were always fine. They were interesting. I like the GIF.
No, I'm wondering, because the UA for GIF, I don't think had firearms proficiency because it was technically an optional rule. I feel like GIF should have that because their whole thing is they're hippos with guns. I'm
pretty sure they really have to introduce like proper guns in Spelljammer.
You don't have guns in the space setting. What are you doing?
It's space pirates almost, you know? It's high seas adventures in space, which makes it unusual and, like, you know, adds like some weirdness to it. I'm happy that they have a 60 monsters in a monster manual. That's good.
Yeah, I do like that the monster manual is named after the giant space hamster Boo.
Mm-hmm. Even though he's a miniature giant space hamster.
He's a miniature giant space hamster. I forget the name of the guy who, like, owns him.
Oh, Minsk?
I think that's it. He's the Great Sword Ranger or something.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, if they're going to introduce giant space hamsters, I want to see the weird variations, because that's all I remember from the AD&D book, is, like, there's, like, a three-headed Lernian fire-breathing one. It's like, why did someone breed a hamster that has three heads? Their heads regenerate, and it breathes fire. What? What was wrong with it?
I feel like it's a thing gnomes would make.
It is a thing gnomes would make.
Gnomes make horrible abominations. That's canon.
Gnomes are more accepted mind flayers. They make equally disgusting things.
It's because most of the time it explodes on them. That's why.
Yeah, and gnomes also aren't horrible parasites.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah,
most of the
time.
time.
Well, that's debatable. And there's I think an adventure module that comes with this.
Yeah.
A pretty long one, actually. 5 to 18. Jeez.
5 to 8 levels. The Rocket Brawl. I'd like to see the updated version of that. Dungeon Master Screen. It's a fine pack. I mean, you know, like, honestly, 70 feels a little expensive, but it doesn't feel terrible because it's all new stuff at least.
New stuff, and you do get some cool stuff with it. Like, you get a cool DM screen, and you get some, like, cool box, and you know, it looks like some art.
Yeah. Of course, you know, beginner's box, we kind of, or starter set, we kind of mentioned that that's something they're doing. We don't have a lot about that, but it is supposed to be out, apparently exclusively in Target in North America in August, and a general release in October.
I'm curious.
How much did Target give them?
I'm curious what the new adventure is going to be, because Lost Pines kind of sucks.
Yeah, I am too. They call it Dragons of Stormwrack Isle, so I assume that's the adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, more boats, or are they going to have
it seems like a dragony adventure, maybe.
I mean, for 1 to 3 levels, I assume you're not fighting the dragons. You're
no,
just like,
well, in Lost Mines you fight a dragon.
True.
It's a green dragon. It's kind of a dumb fight that feels like it shouldn't be there, but it's there.
So I'm going to say this now. The campaign case creatures, it's a worse pawn box than Pathfinder does.
Yeah.
It's basically plastic discs that you kind of like just attach little like circles of creature images on the top of. It's a worse pawn box.
It's kind of. I mean, like, Paizo is kind of the master at doing these little accessories. To be fair, but it really feels like this is trying to just edge in on Paizo's kind of monopoly on tile-based terrain.
We too can also have little things where you can have, like, you know, little images of it. But no, we're not doing pawns. That would be ripping them off. We're doing discs.
How much does this thing cost?
I don't see it. It's coming out in July.
So it's on Amazon.
Ah, Amazon.
Alright, it doesn't have an Amazon listing yet.
They also have a terrain box, which I feel like it looks as though it also feels like... I'm going to say this. The old terrain stuff they put out feels better than this, because they have 30 double-sided 5x5 terrain areas that don't have... look like they're just blank terrains. But then, they have reusable adventure clings. Items that are, just, little, sheet... I don't even know if it's, thick, cardboard pieces, but they're just, I guess that part of it, I don't mind. They've got decorations, but I feel like, it's very generic. I guess that's the way of saying it. It's not the worst terrain thing I've seen, honestly, but it just doesn't feel special, I guess.
So the problem I do have with the Dragonlance adventure is if I'm reading this right, it's going to be lore light, which is not good in my opinion. Because Dragonlance is a very old setting that is very well established. And I feel like if you're going to do an adventure module, you should give people lore for what the world is.
Even a bit of
They
lore.
might have to write lore or change some lore, and that might upset people, so they can't do that.
Change lore? Man,
True.
that would require effort.
Also, there's a board game for Dragonlance that got announced too.
Yes, I was going to talk about that. Well, it looks like there's Onslaught, which is a miniature skirmish game. But that's,
Warriors of Kryn.
The Warriors of Kryn is another one, yeah.
Board game.
There's a couple of board games here. And they're already having, they're very on top of this because, they got the Warriors of Kryn. WizKids has a DnD Onslaught skirmish game. That's what I was going to talk about a little bit here, too. They've got a one-on-one skirmish game they're doing with minis. Plus, they already have Spelljammer minis, at the ready.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me either. But certainly, it's unusual. It's a product vomit from Wizards.
It is a weird product vomit. Wizards doesn't product vomit a lot.
Yeah, so it feels unusual. Normal, if they were a little bit more, spread out, it would feel oh, okay, But it's, a weird...
I mean, the one thing I do hope that is in Spelljammer, because it is in the astral plane, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Space. There's that city that's just built on a dead god. I hope that appears in
the actual Spelljammer.
Yeah.
Will they talk about the actual, ship named after the system?
So they talk about that, or are they going to talk about the city built on a dead god? Because that's weird.
Dead God City is, medium tier for me. If they can do that, that'd be great. I just want them to actually mention the Spelljammer, because it is, a major part of it. There's so many storylines around figuring out ways to try to control this mythical ship or visiting the mythical ship. You know. It's like a giant manta ray with a city on its back.
Yep.
It's cool. I mean, honestly, I guess it's the mythology of it is that's why it's the system is named after it. It's supposed to be the mystery and discovery and unusualness of it all. It's supposed to culminate.
Ship also a living creature?
Kinda, yeah. I don't think it's actually organic, but it's living because it's almost like an intelligent artifact. Only it's a ship. And there are apparently artifacts to control its will temporarily or something, and there's 1 billion factions that are actually living on its back, fighting for control of the thing, and they can sometimes because you can technically try to control it from its helm. It's just really difficult in comparison to controlling anything else. And then so it's the factions are always battling each other, so no one really has control of the thing because everybody wants it, and even then you could get control of it. You can't control it for long. Just enough maybe to maybe someone can get off its back or something, because it's really hard to get on and off that thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a lot of D&D stuff. It's a lot.
A lot of products have been released or will be released.
Yeah.
I mean, the skirmish board game's cool. Skirmish board games, I think, are very fun.
I need that link to that Words of Kryn one.
Big fan of the 2 settings that have been announced.
Yeah. I think that
don't really care about the terrain box or the starter set.
I think the thing is, for me, they needed something like this, you know.
They do need a new starter set, because the old one is from 2014.
Yeah, the starter set definitely need a new one. New settings, I think, help a lot, because, again, it's always Faerun. Oops, all Faerun gets boring.
I think the only 2 we had, well, 3, was Ravenloft, Eberron, and then Critical Role, and those are the 3 settings we got, besides Faerun.
And the thing is, Eberron is sort of like, they did like 2 books for it, and they're like, okay, we're done. And
Eberron's also kind of like weird D&D, because it's all technology.
It's like high fantasy or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think...
It's fantasy plus technology.
It's high fantasy, like steampunk.
Yeah.
Because I think Dragonlance is just high fantasy.
Dragonlance is just high fantasy. It's your classic high fantasy.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more grounded than Faerun, because Faerun has a lot of godly bullshit going on in it.
Yeah, Dragonlance doesn't really have that. Dragonlance has got dragons and weapons that kill dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's the thing is, like, they didn't even go for, like, it's mediocre and in the middle, but fucking just use Greyhawk. I mean, it's like, I'm not the hugest fan of Greyhawk as like a setting, but, like, I honestly am, like, for whatever reason, I'm missing it, because it's just, like, the generic fantasy.
The thing is, they might not be allowed to use Greyhawk. It depends who owns that IP.
Well,
yeah.
They have in the past, because 3rd edition used Greyhawk, and that was already under Wizards, but maybe when Hasbro bought up it could have changed how things work, because that sometimes changes deals and stuff.
It might have been when Hasbro bought it, they didn't buy that right.
Yeah.
Maybe that could have happened.
Yeah, there could have been something with that. Yeah, I don't know, but we haven't heard
anything. It was
anything.
like, you know, you can buy the D&D brand, but all these settings are, like, their own thing you'd have to, like, pay extra for, and they're just like, well, we don't care about these ones. We just want Forgotten Realms. And then later they bought the rights to the other ones or something.
Who knows? That's the weird
thing. Because the two of the anthology books were adventures set in Greyhawk, but removed out of Greyhawk and into, like, Forgotten Realms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the anthology books they've already done have a lot of Greyhawk adventures. They're just not in Greyhawk now.
Yeah, they're just in something else. So they might... It might be weird copyright issues could be why they haven't done it again.
Yeah, honestly, you never know on the back end how these things work, because there's like... You say like D&D is one copyright. It's technically an umbrella of a lot of different copyrights. And usually they're together, but not always.
Yes, because the thing also with Dragonlance is it's a shared setting. Multiple people own it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the book series, and then there's the D&D setting.
So, you know, we're going to get... granted, like, they're going to do new monsters, too, but they're going to be Spelljammer monsters, so...
Yeah, it'll be weird. Hopefully.
Yeah, maximum weirdness. We can only hope. Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's just that, like, you know, Greyhawk tangentially almost exists. Like, there's things that are in Greyhawk mentioned, but never directly Greyhawky stuff. It's weird.
Yeah, Greyhawk's kind of the forgotten child.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they did stuff apparently, like, I quickly looked it up, and they apparently did some stuff back in, like, 4th edition, a little bit of it, but not... Like, since 3rd edition, they haven't done anything major, so...
I could see Greyhawk being the next thing they try to do.
Again, honestly, it's standard fantasy. It doesn't have the bullshit of... It's standard fantasy just like Faerun, but it doesn't have the bullshit of Faerun. You know, and that's fine. It's just generic, and sometimes you need that.
I think 4th edition is when they moved the main setting off of Greyhawk.
That makes sense, because in 3rd edition, it was all Greyhawk stuff, and then they had the favored books to go along with it. So, but yeah, so a bunch of D&D products, some board games, some miniatures, Spelljammer, Dragonlance. Is this like the opposite it's normally been? I've usually had less complaints, like minuscule complaints about like the Magic side of things, and a lot of complaints about D&D. And now I have more complaints about Magic side because of the price range, but less complaints about D&D because they just give us a product vomit of a lot of stuff, including things that like I complained about.
This is things I've wanted for a while, so you know I'm at least somewhat satisfied.
This is weird. This is weird.
This might be a cause and effect thing where they realize that, hey, we're like losing a bunch of sales and these other things are coming out. Mm-hmm. We want that money.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just using the stuff they have.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like, they bought up D&D Beyond, so it looks like they're just trying to... what's the way I want to say this? Consolidate their power, almost?
Honestly, it's probably decent that they do try to do that. Yeah. From a business standpoint.
Yeah, you need to be competitive. And they have such a wealth of systems and technically people they can pull from, too. Because there's a bunch of people who probably are like, I love writing books for D&D. And they can just be like, hey, you want to write a book for D&D? And they'll be like, hell yeah. And then you could potentially turn that book into an adventure.
Oops, all Chris Perkins.
D&D and Magic the Gathering used to get, like, novels and shit. And they don't really get that anymore.
Well, I mean, the Magic novels, I can tell you why. Because they got a writer who basically, they
did a really bad thing.
They did some bad things with the writer.
They made, I think it was Syndra, they made her straight.
Yeah.
She's not at all straight.
You mean my character from Grinding Gears?
Chandra.
Super sorcerer?
Chandra is...
Syndra also probably wasn't straight, because you were beefy super sorcerer, honestly.
Chandra is, I believe, was created to be a pansexual nightmare.
Yes.
Why exclusively nightmare?
That's just a term.
Okay.
I think specifically
often what a lot of my characters end up being.
It's just because, like, the literal representation of Chandra is fire, so she just spreads everywhere and does what she wants.
It's also that, and, like, there's the disaster lesbian thing. You know, it's kind of like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I know that terminology, but I've never heard the other one. Until now, I guess.
It's sort of like... Honestly, like, if I would ever use her character in something, the rarity of the possibility of, like, using in D&D, I will probably ignore that book entirely.
You can't have her in Wrath. Carrion will try to fuck her.
This isn't accurate. Carrion tries to fuck everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, basically.
I think it's mostly cute lady type people, though.
Well, yes, it's all cute lady people, but if there's a cute lady people, of any kind of species, she will be like, I'm interested, and I'm like, it's a horrible blob monster. It just happens to be also female.
Skinless witch.
The skinless witch. She doesn't have skin.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean, I have lines that I don't cross, and I'm sorry. You have to have skin for a prerequisite, all right? I know that might put some people off.
Damn, high standards.
Who don't have skin, but, like, I don't want to see your insides on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Skinless witches or something.
Well, we were talking about D&D Wizards releasing, like, new worlds and stuff. That's what it was.
Yeah. Doing good stuff for once.
being good.
Yeah, I mean, if you want my opinion, I really don't care too much about the stuff coming out. The only thing I care about is reading the Spelljammer book and going, hey, I like these 5 ideas out of the 20 new ideas. I'm stealing them for my own world. And that's pretty much what I'll probably,
Well,
talking
I'll
about.
probably run a game in Dragonlance. I just like Dragonlance as a setting.
I don't know enough about them to really have a greater opinion.
I might resurrect my old adventure and just use the basic idea of it and then just, redo it completely.
I'd be down to experience Spelljammer. It's something I know nothing about.
I did Treasure of the Lost Legion because in the Spelljammer timeline, which I don't know how much they're gonna go on about.
Probably none.
They probably won't do any.
Probably minimal lore.
There was this giant war between the goblinoid races led by the orcs where they were defeated then because as they try to conquer all known wild space.
Fair.
As the elves and a bunch of other groups, the elves and a bunch of groups united together.
Yeah.
A lot of the goblinoid races still have some presence. The orcs were basically crushed back to the Stone Age. In a way, so they don't really have things like they used to have a type of ship called scorpion ships. They don't exist anymore because those are hold-offs from that time. And the idea is it was a storyline based around a general during that time managed to get away during the battle with this massive treasure. It's a big legend. It's a pirate legend.
Ooh, space
pirate
piracy.
Games.
Yeah. Granted, it was
enough of those.
I mean, that was the entire storyline of it. It's this lost legion of orcish fighters escaped the battle and took with them a massive treasure.
Well, play a mecha gnome,
and that's why it was Treasure of the Lost Legion. Mm-hmm. They didn't really get very far into finding anything, but weird stuff.
Unfortunate.
Paizo. Let's talk about Paizo. There's a couple of things.
We have to.
We can. They're having a hybrid Piezo Con in a couple of weeks. So, an in-person thing, which I didn't know they were going to do an in-person thing, honestly, and an online thing.
Neat.
The in-person thing is in Seattle, because I think, like many of these game companies, they're based out of Seattle.
Weird.
Well, I live near there.
Yeah.
I could technically go, but that means I'd have to be around people, and that just fills me with dread.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I too hate people.
Yeah. You have to have
large crowds.
I have to sometimes make saves versus crowds and be it's the trade-off of what I get out of it versus actually
saving throw versus crowd.
See,
you should make a wisdom saving throw against social anxiety.
Oh god, I have a really low wisdom score. I'm sorry. Oh man, I was at a small event that was very, very packed and crowded. So you had 1.5 people things to walk between tables, and I did not have a good time there. And I was there to work, so I needed to be there. And yeah, I had to step outside for a few minutes.
I haven't been to a convention in a long time.
I'm pretty tolerant nowadays because I went to PAX, Unplugged a bunch, and honestly, if it had been possible to organize something and I had some of the extra money, because that's what it ended up being. It's I needed a lot more people than I was kind of talking about possibly going with it to meet PAX East. That's why I gave up on it, because I couldn't find I need 4 people, because then I or total including me, because then I could have just split it pretty evenly.
Yeah.
Because and I would have been able to afford the hotel stuff. That's what I've really had. With the money issues this year, that I'm a little less than I expected for something like that, because that's very expensive. So I would have loved to have been PAX East, which is right now. I would have probably hung around in the press room a lot, and occasionally wandered down to the tabletop area, and then waited for certain times in the day when there's less people to go wander the, actual things that are at the show floor. It's sort of during the more closer to evening or early morning when there's 50% less people, go check out stuff then for games and stuff. when it's the middle of the day when the place is like crowded, I'm like, I'm just gonna, go up here and hang out, or maybe go hang out with the couple of friends that are in the area, or go get lunch or something, It's not bother with the, massive crowds. Also, another reason I didn't go Saturday on PAX Unplugged when I only went Friday, because there was a lot less people on that day. It was not bad for the crowds. It was still crowded, but that was a much better level of it.
Yeah, I wonder if we're ever gonna go back to the mega huge cons again.
Oh, probably.
It seems like there's no interest for them anymore.
There is and there isn't. Like, certain types of conventions, I think they could still get it. Like, you could probably still get a something like a Gen Con, a Comic Con, or maybe even like certain anime conventions. But certainly a lot of the smaller ones, the growth just might not be there anymore.
There's a certain type of convention I know is going to be popular, but I'm not going to say it on stream.
Type it in Discord. Because I think I know, maybe. I think the ones where you have like costumes and things like that.
Yeah, those kinds.
Yeah, but that could be
animal variety.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that. I was just gonna say because like chances of like anime conventions, right? You have a lot of cosplay and stuff.
Yeah, no,
right?
like cosplay stuff in events where you can go cosplay, they're still gonna be very big.
Yeah, I think those ones will still have the audience. But
I think gaming conventions outside of like PAX are dead because E3 is kind of dead now.
Yeah,
and I think people finally realized what E3 was and don't care anymore.
It died as soon as they let the public in.
I think I think like something like because you can like we don't have something like the Tokyo Game Show always was, because that was both press and public. It always was. And so it worked out because they're like, here's the press side, here's the public side. And they do a little bit of that at like something like the PAXs. They capture some of that spirit. But they're also like, we also have tabletop and like classic gaming and, some role-playing games and stuff like that. And it's all under this one roof. And yeah, maybe if you're going to East, you're more video games, but we still have everything else, We
don't really have a big old tech entertainment convention in the States.
I feel like that's what it is. Like, because like, the close, like, as I said, closest thing might be one of the PAXs, but again, they're just really generic nerd culture.
I feel like I've been to PAX once. I don't have a need to go again.
I would go, like, East, I feel like, is a good excuse to go hang out with friends.
Yeah, honestly. East is close.
Yeah.
Unplugged. One that's close to me is West. And no one else lives here on the West Coast but me. So
too close to California, sorry.
If I had enough money to go out there, I would go out to West. I have to be honest. Like, it's sort of like I went to South a few times because I knew it was a smaller one, and it was fun. Honestly,
isn't West and East the biggest ones? I forget if
West and East are the two biggest ones. South is a smaller one.
Well, South died. It's gone for
South is actually dead, which is unfortunate.
If things happen that they could bring it back, they might. But I like right now, I don't think there's a situation where they would.
Maybe next year.
Maybe.
They've kind of gone on the announcement of, like, they're putting it on, like, a permanent hiatus. It sounded like, just because situational, it just doesn't work. But, like, you never know. They have, like East is there, it works. West is there, it works. And even Unplugged, I feel like, still has a huge following. Like, again, like, it was smaller than it was, but it was still, I felt, bigger than the first year of PAX Unplugged.
The ones that are big are going to remain.
Yeah. Because pure tabletop, I think that can survive. That it's its own thing that does very good to compete with something like Gen Con, Dragon Con, and a couple of the others. And the thing is, it's during winter, so it's a completely different season. A lot of those are ones that are during the summertime. Nothing else is during that time, which I think helps it. Brandon,
hey, we got the Paizo Con to talk about.
So Piezo Con is coming up in a couple weeks. They're having a mixture of it. The physical one's going to be, of course, in the Doubletree by Hilton's Hotel Seattle Airport. 500 physical attendees, which is not a lot.
That's really small.
That is pretty small.
I think that they wanted to do... they just wanted to have a physical one to sort of bring it back.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to be as safe as they can be with it, because,
Yeah.
there still is a pandemic.
Yeah. It's the good thing, and I feel like Paizo's good about this stuff, is that they're like, they're choosing a very small thing right now, like a small physical one, so they're like, hey, there's no more like tickets right now. People that already got them have them. We've capped it out at this 500. We're gonna have an online version of stuff. At the same time of it. But there's gonna be this physical thing to. I feel like, as much as like Piezo Con's one of those like ones that I'm like, I put it on like I'd be interested in going. I'm not on the West Coast. Kind of like a Twitch Con. Honestly, I stream on Twitch. I would love to go one of those, meet and greet some people, and something. I could find some people that would want to play D&D with me, maybe. That's something I would always love to do. It's a lot easier when you're in person and can just randomly talk to people rather than just messaging them on like an email or something. That does work. You can get responses back from people. Sometimes. I mean, I found a couple of people that way. That's how I got in contact with like Jess originally and Tesh, through random emails and messages. Just like, hi, I'm a random person. Do you want to play games with me?
Would you like to play a nerdy D&D game with me?
Mm-hmm. Which long story short, I didn't know that someone else had, a good friend of our show, Will, had messaged Tess right around the same time. Because when he messaged Tesh was like, yeah, I just signed up for this game, Madness of the Land. And he's like, really? Will was
Weird.
like, I'm there too. Small world.
I'm definitely more likely to watch a Paizo thing than a Wizard of the Coast thing.
Yeah.
I think Paizo's more in touch with their players.
They are.
Yeah.
And also they understand how the internet works.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, Paizo's still a corporation, but they're a corporation that understands they sell a product for people and so look to people. It's sort of like that thing is, a corporation is always going to be relatively soulless. It's when the corporation looks and says, I'm doing something for these people, as long as I like make these people at least relatively happy with my product and my actions, they're going to want to buy more.
I think it's also because Paizo knows that their systems are not mainstream.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like Paizo as a company makes better choices. They look out for like...
Because they need to keep their player base happy.
Yeah. And they keep definitely much better PR, Whoever their PR person is very smart and knows what to do to be like, hey guys, we should do this thing because people will love it. And they're like, on top of it, great.
Here's $1 million, get on it.
I only needed like 20,000. No, don't worry about it. Keep the other for something or other. I'm sure it'll come up, Just remind us
to pay people.
Just pay some people. We also got a vomit of products, and apparently from Paizo. And apparently they're planning on releasing over 30 products this year.
That's a lot of product.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this is just generic stuff, like some decks and some flip maps, and things like that. But I think the big thing that I kind of wanted to put out here is that they're doing that Outlaws of Alkenstar one, that like kind of like gun Western adventure path. Punks in a powder keg. I'm like, just the fact that they're doing that. We've talked about it, but it's sort of like they're talking about it like it with all their releases and stuff too, which I was kind of like, it's just such an interesting thing that they can do that stuff now. I feel like it's one of those things is they've reached the point in their entire setup of stuff that they can have Western
it's like
Pathfinder campaign.
It's also like Golarion is just weird.
Yeah.
And they've hit the point where they can safely release the weird content now.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, you know, we've already released it. There's some like Cthulhu monsters over here. Oh, there's this ancient spaceship that was crash landed, you know, that you could explore.
There's this wizard who fucked off to the sun because he didn't like politics. You can go meet Rasputin. In a mountain somewhere, there's an AI that wants to be God.
Yeah.
France is a real place in Galorian.
In an AI in a mountain, that's very Fallout as well.
Yeah. Galarian is just such a weird place.
France is just real in Pathfinder.
Yeah, I mean,
French is a valid language you can take.
you could have traveled there through this dimensional portal and then come back and been like, I was to France. I got these weapons. I got mustard gas. It's like, ooh.
Oh no.
It's yeah, I think it's Gelt is just perpetually in the French Revolution.
They're just like, please don't. Please don't bring that.
Yeah, I mean, like, gunpowder in Magic is cool when it's put together.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
And
everyone's too afraid to put guns in their campaigns because D&D's rules for guns are shit.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
I made better rules.
You know, like, that's the thing, it's very easy. Like, I've got to remember to, like, I do have to remember to make sure to check, because, like, that's the thing, like, even in the Skulls and Shackles, in this third book, they're like, by the way, if you're using, like some of the more advanced gun rules, here's where a bunch of places where guns can be added in. I'd remember to do that.
Go.
You know, I've been putting things together without using that, but I want to go back and, like, kind of probably change a few things.
Paizo thought about putting guns in their setting.
Yeah.
And made good rules for them.
Yeah. They're like, they basically said, like, yeah, here's a rule that, like, you can just have it, like, that they're very rare magical items. You can have it that, like, the simple ones are around all the place, and then the magical item kind of more things are the advanced ones. So you can get a revolver, it's just super rare. Because also,
it's magic item tier.
There's Western Town, because that place doesn't have magic. They developed guns, you know? They're like, hey, we want technology because, you know, we couldn't cheat our way through magic. Fuck you guys. Yeah. I do like, there's a lot of good stuff that they're coming out with. So, I mean, like, you know, just keep an eye.
Paizo, aside from their, like, they do vomit a lot of content. Their main stuff I actually do tend to enjoy.
Even a lot of the content vomit is still okay stuff, you know, it's sort of like...
Yeah, like the one-shots that they continuously vomit out, even the tile sets. I like tile sets, I just haven't bought one in God knows how long, because I don't do physical D&D anymore.
Yeah. Like the flip mats, they're just simple, like, maps. They're just useful, like, you know, like, granted, if it's like one of those things is if you have the money to spend on a lot of these, you could, I just recommend getting them. Yeah. It's just having the money for a lot of the flip mats and stuff. Like this one, the one they're putting out is like Pathfinder Lodge. You're not going to use that a lot, but again, like, use of the Pathfinder Society is actually, like, that's a really easy way to get your players to be adventurers. You're like, you've joined the Pathfinder Society. They're like, okay, new recruits, you're a team. Get out there and start Pathfindering. Here's your quest.
Go slaughter goblins.
Yeah, there's these goblins that are bothering a town. Go take care of that. Congratulations.
Are they ugly goblins, though?
Most of them.
They're Pathfinder goblins, so they're adorable little scamps.
They're adorable little scamps, and they're in trouble. They're causing a little too much trouble. Slaughter off them, you know, like slaughter off any ones that are attacking the town.
Kill about like half of them.
Yeah,
to teach them a lesson.
Teach them a lesson. Get them in good shape. Unfortunately, it's a very savage land Galarian, so often, like, killing it is the answer to most things. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Damien. Welcome back yet again. Yes, you've returned. It's good to know.
Damien is all for the slaughter of goblins.
Apparently.
I could be
Damn, calm down.
Slaughter all of them.
She's goblin murder. Jeez.
I devour their blood and souls. Meow. You didn't like this, do you?
Damien.
She's just like, grumble.
I will devour your soul.
Put me down, human.
That's what you get for showing up and just meowing at me. I know you really just wanted to be on my lap, but no, I'm going to pick you up. We have a few more topics, and I'm actually going to link these, because they're not, like, vomit-y topics, and, like, I can link them. Let's talk about a Kickstarter. A Summoner's book for 5e.
Summoners?
Summoning class.
Hell yeah.
Summoning in 5th edition sucks.
Yes, that's why I was like, does this fix the issue?
I hope so. The summoning spells are garbage.
Yeah,
They're not great.
it's the unfortunate thing that, like, summoning is a thing that I always... Okay. In original Pathfinder, which is very 3rd edition 3.5, summoning is maybe a little much at times.
It can be. Like a lot of things.
Yeah. It's why the our archetype for summoner, the class master summoner, is banned from existence in my books.
Yeah.
Because you vomit out too many things and have an army of stuff that, like, I don't want people rolling like 50 monsters worth of stuff. That's just
it's too much at times. But I do like the idea of summoner in general, especially the one where you just have like a ghost friend.
The Eidolons are really cool.
Yeah, the Eidolons are cool.
I think if it was done kind of like the Beastmaster Ranger, where the summon is like a part of your class and kind of like levels up with you.
They do actually have that in Pathfinder. It's called Spiritualist. And you have a ghost bound to you. But it's a weird class because it's in the occult book.
I mean,
yeah, the occult classes are kind of weird. I really like some of them, but they take more brain power than regular Pathfinder, which already takes a fair bit of brain power. So you're like doubling the amount of effort to like play.
In Pathfinder, if you ever play anything beyond hit thing with stick, you're gonna be thinking.
Yeah, like Kineticist. Yeah. I like the idea of Kineticist, but they have a lot of stuff.
Kineticist is a lot of weird math.
It has cool, like, idea. It's basically you're like a bender from Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah,
and it's like it's really cool, but it's like you cast with your hit points, but you don't hurt yourself. Like your hit points aren't your magic pool. It's just you tire yourself out. So that if someone's like, I'm going to start non-lethally attacking this person, then you're going to go down really quick. But you're not dead. You're just, like, knocked out because you're exhausted.
Yeah. I think Spiritualist and Psychic are the two most simple ones for that. And then everything else is just a lot.
Well,
a lot of weird.
Psychic is pretty easy, I believe, because it's mostly just, like, wizard or sorcerer, but different.
Honestly, just playing the summoner, and you can actually just ignore the summoned monsters and just have a cool Eidolon. Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'd do, personally.
I mean, also, there is the one that's a little broken where you are your own Eidolon, where, I will tell you, there are things I will or will not approve. Someone made the joke of playing a very old character, because then they don't have to have physicals. Because there are age categories in that, and you get mass amount of physical penalties, really kind of shit mental penalties for being old or very old. Venerable or whatever it is. But when you get like
a 2-to-1 penalty on physical to
mentals. Yeah.
Mental. You get bonus mental stats at a heavy cost of physicals.
But, you know, when your physical stats are manifested in some kind of horrible spiritual Eidolon that you summon and it becomes your body...
Yeah.
You don't need them! That's an actual...
exploity.
It's very exploity.
That's Pathfinder the game.
I
have a really cool idea. Can I make it happen? Yes! Here's the 69 steps required to do this.
Usually that's why I don't do those 69 steps. I'm like...
That's why I just usually play something simple.
Like, honestly, I just am like, what? I like take a look at, like, I want to play this class. Okay, is there an archetype I want to play? Okay, shoot, cool. That's what I'm playing, and I call it a day. Honestly, that's what I'm at this point in time. I've been on that way for Pathfinder for a long time. The ridiculous exploity stuff like that has not interested me since, like, 3rd edition was out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly just, can it use bow? Yes, I'll play the class.
Mm-hmm.
I like bows.
But for this, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna.
I had nothing more to add.
It's lore and mechanics for playing a summoning type person, and I'm a summoner type class. I don't know how. Like they say, they have like a summoning point system for streamlined summoning, combat formulas for defense, damage, utility, characters, customizations, things like that. I mean, look, it's basically they're doing a lot of something similar to the Pathfinder summoner, but like a little bit of their own thing. And I'm okay with that. And I mean, like, if it improves summoning as like a cool, because that's a cool concept, but it's just so bad in 5th edition.
There's like 2 things in 5th edition that are cool but actual garbage: alchemy and summoning.
Yeah.
Crafting is also pretty bad.
Crafting is mostly terrible.
Yeah, there's just some things that they just don't do right, and it's sad.
It's because they don't want to make the rules for it.
I know, they're lazy.
Also, this is going to be a mild joke. The summoner thing adds 10 plus new feats or whatever. You know those things that are optional?
Yeah, there's optional feats that that all official content keeps adding.
Yeah. They really shouldn't be optional anymore.
They really shouldn't.
They kind of aren't.
Yeah.
If you use lineages.
No, because you just get one.
Yeah, they kind of aren't optional anymore.
Which is why I just give my players them, because it's like there's so many, and there's a lot of them that are like there's obviously feats that are too powerful, and if you have a player that's like, oh, I want this feat, and or you've heard how ridiculously strong it is, you just be like, no, you can take that one for your bonus feats. You spend an ASI to get that, right? But there's so many that aren't broken, and they just help the players get more attached to their character or help with the concept,
Yeah. It's certainly this, like, the feats aren't balanced, and they are something that's almost required nowadays, and it's just kind of... they should have had a system for it in place to begin with, honestly. Like,
they should remove them being tied to class level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ASI should be removed from being tied to class level, too. Like, honestly. There's just so much... They discourage multi-classing. They, like... establish that you need feats now, but they also kind of discourage feats now because it's your ASIs. It's like, what the fuck do they want from people?
The only issue I can see, and this is like a fringe case of someone being a mega cool min-maxy guy, you can just time it to get 2 ASI as fighter.
Yeah, you can.
But that's like the mega min-max.
But ideally, what you would do is...
The fighter ones remain part of fighter levels.
Yeah, the bonus ones you get, because I believe in other 5e type systems, some classes get extra ASI. Like I believe in the Star Wars 5e, like Rogue or something gets an extra ASI, which Rogue is already like broken. I don't know why they need extra ASI.
I think Rogue just gets that in 5e.
Oh, do they just get that in 5e?
I think Rogue has 1 extra.
Okay, so like anything that would be a bonus aside from the every 4 levels thing, that one would be the this is in the class, right? Yeah. So what you would do is you would redo the rules so it's the exception as opposed to the rule, where you'd say every 5 or every 4 levels you get an ASI, and you remove all the ASIs from the classes, and then when a class has an ASI, you just state that this is an extra ASI.
Yeah, this is a bonus one that class gets.
Right. At this level of fighter, at 6th level fighter or whatever, you get an extra ASI. That's just how you write it.
Rogue gets 2 additional ASI.
Oh, they do? I didn't think they got that much.
They get them at they get 1 at 10 and they get 1 at 16.
Yeah, I think the 10 was the one I saw.
So it's a very late game that you get them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if it's a Kickstarter, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funded.
Oh, is it funded? Okay,
yeah, it's funded.
A lot of D&D content gets funded because they don't really need to ask that much money for it.
That's fair. But like, if it's a good system that adds, I just saw the pledge go up live. If it's a good system and it adds like a new class, that's just bonuses, right? Yeah. 5e is it's a simple system that you can make more complex, and a lot of people have been playing it for a long time, need that extra complexity to continue the life cycle of the game. So you could end up with like for a 5th edition and then a 5.5, which has got like, hey, all these optional rules or whatever, we've made them better and had them ingrained them better into the base rules. So they're, not just like, here's some optional things that you could maybe use.
I mean, the only class they've added to 5th edition in the, 8 years it's been out or something is Artificer.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a mixed bag. Like, it has 2 really good subclasses, and that's it. Out of, the 4 it has or something.
Yeah.
The only one that's bad I think is the Alchemist.
Alchemist one is definitely bad, and there's another one that's, not great. I don't remember which one it is.
Because
is it the Beastmaster one?
That one's actually pretty decent because it lets you use your intelligence as your attack modifier for weapons.
So maybe that one's just okay then, because
it's
armor one is pretty
definitely
strong.
Not as good as artillerist or armorer.
Yeah,
but
those ones are the top tier.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking then.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is, Artificer is interesting and out there, but,
it's also setting specific.
It's very setting specific. I feel like they need more base classes, just something different, and they just haven't had those.
I think it'd be hard to add another base class.
It'd be hard because they just want to, because the subclass system is wide.
Right, yeah.
We're kind of the way it is.
I think a remastering of subclasses would be a better way of going about it. Yeah. So that, I'm a fighter, but I have all these other things that completely change how the fighter plays, as opposed to I will always be a fighter. It's just I have different gimmicks.
Yeah, but it feels like it just doesn't feel good though. It's just I have gimmick A instead of gimmick B. Look at me go. It's too in a way gimmicky. I think it's the difference between maybe some of Pathfinder's large amount of classes feel a little similar, but guess what? They do enough to make them feel different. Even the hybrid classes feel vastly different from the 2 classes they're based on. Yep. It's sort of like a hunter in comparison to a druid and a ranger. Okay, I got some more spells. Hey, guess what? Rather than transforming an animal, I become almost like a were creature to a degree. I gain animal aspects and they give me bonuses. I'm not doing this full transformation into a creature. And then I
think the downside of the Pathfinder things is when you get to the archetypes, because you can have archetypes that are actually worse than not having an archetype.
That's why I'm of the opinion if you're going to do an archetype, you should ask your DM for their opinion first.
Well, yeah. I think that's also why 2nd edition's a little better, because it's rather, there is no archetype. We just keep giving you this list of extra feats. So if you want to take an ability that's would have been that archetype, here's the 5 of them.
2nd edition did fix a lot of the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're there was 10 archetypes? Here's 10 feats to choose from at first level, for first level feats. There you go. What kind of archetype do you want to be, I
want to be gun paladin.
There's probably, I don't think they have it yet, but they probably would put out, here's the gunslinger shit, for...
They did release gunslinger recently.
Yeah. So they might have, here's a bunch of, feat options for different classes that, add gunslinging to it, you know?
Put the fear of God into someone with my handgun. Smite a demon with a Glock.
Though there is more role-playing stuff to talk about as we move on a little bit here. We're going to talk about Fast, which is apparently a multi-genre role-playing system that is been funded pretty quickly, and it looked kind of a little... It's the Furious Action System, they call it, Fast for short, which they abbreviated both system and S&T. I guess it's FAST, whatever. It's catchy, I guess.
That lady's got a snake.
That lady does indeed have a snake. So it's a core book that they're funding out here that has the basics of character creation, combat, magic, leveling, gameplay, enemies, traps, all that kind of stuff. a setting chapter that has 3 unique game worlds that introduce you to a system, but it's kind of supposed to be written as a more of a generic system, something like Savage Worlds, GURPS, something like that.
What a
Kind of like a choose your own kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's built around, and I like generic systems, honestly.
This is so the way you determine your attributes is with a D100.
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
You roll a D100 3 times, and then assign the tens digit to each attribute, being physical, mental, and resilience.
Why not just roll a D10?
Well, I mean, that's what a D100 basically is.
Apparently there's also like a remainder, so that's why you have like you'd be like I guess there's something like related to that. That's why there's the D100s. You have like a primary stat for your because there's only 3 mentals. There's physical, mental, resilience.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that if you rolled an 83, 8 would be your actual score with the remainder of 3. But that's really weird though too, because you can have from a 1 to a 10 then in any stat. There might be like a point buy system, but that's very vastly different.
As I've gotten older, I don't like rolling for stats anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, though I feel like point buy, as far as like 5th edition or whatever, is not great.
No, it's point buy is
You just feel average.
More freedom than standard array.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is, because it equals out to be the same amount of points.
Yeah, it's the same points. It's just you can pick where they go.
Yeah,
right.
You can make a perfectly average man with point buy.
Yeah, well, I prefer point buy to standard array. I just mean that I feel like the 27 points or whatever just isn't enough.
There are rules to increase the points in 5e.
Yeah, but I probably wouldn't go much higher. Maybe 30 or 32 at the most. Just a couple extra points, because when you make an average character, because 5e is a bounded system with bounded accuracy and like bounded AC values or whatever, you can feel very subpar to someone who just focuses one stat.
So that's not an issue anymore, because the new character creation rules actually fix that problem.
Oh, I'd have to read them, but
because
initially
it's just a +2 and a +1 to whatever. So it does fix that issue. That's the part of it I've become fine with. It's the way they handle the traits that I'm not the biggest fan of these days.
Yeah.
I think honestly there's some good and bad entirely. The system, I don't mind the idea of the rolling. I just would like to see if they have optionals, which we don't know right now. They're just staying with the basics of we're having rolling.
It's definitely an interesting way to generate your character.
Yes.
I've never seen a D100 character generation before.
And apparently it's a D10 system, so I mean that's not a bad system. I don't know how they're exactly D10ing systeming it. We don't know how.
So I want to say that the Call of Cthulhu, because it's been a while since I played, right? I feel like you use the D100s in the character creation stuff, but you had like a point value, because it was a D100 system, and I don't remember that like being bad, because it was like your age and then like your job or something affected how your stats worked, and that was actually kind of interesting. But it wasn't just a straight, I'm just gonna roll a bunch of dice and like blah, there they go. It was a little bit point buy-y, and then there was adjustments after the fact. So like you'd have like a 14 or a 15 and something, right? Or like because I think it dropped the second one. Like I said, it's been a long time since I played Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah,
I've never
played it. Yeah, Call of Cthulhu, there's like the list of systems I would love to try out. I don't know if I want to play huge campaigns in them, but I'd like to try it out. Call of Cthulhu, GURPS, one of the Age systems, the Fantasy Flight, Star Wars. I would at least like to experience all these and how they work and stuff like that too.
I'd run Fantasy Flight Star Wars, but it doesn't work on Roll20.
Not unless you give them money.
Yeah, I know that.
It might work on Foundry. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
The Call of Cthulhu, like the character creation and like the rolling and stuff, I enjoyed all of that. But Call of Cthulhu like hates you more than Pathfinder does, which is a lot, right?
Just because it's Cthulhu.
Yeah, so I don't like the setting, but as far as like the rules and gameplay went, I thought that was really cool. I liked the D100 system. It's just I don't think they do combat well, and you are very likely going to lose your character because you just play them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something I enjoy personally.
It does fit the aspect of the genre, though, which is actually pretty.
So if you like that, then
yeah,
it's a great system. If you're like me and like only like parts of it, you're probably not going to have a good time.
Yeah, the fast thing actually looks, I think, pretty interesting.
So
nice.
That is fire trucks going by outside my house. So I guess there's a fire nearby.
That was fire truck.
Let's talk about a horror RPG that was released in '91 and is getting a kind of reboot. Ooh. Modiphius is basically rebooting Kult, Kult. There's the collection. They've announced a whole bunch of new products for Kult Divinity Lost.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah, this is the 4th edition, I guess, because it was originally released in '91. So I'm assuming between '91 and now 2 other editions have come out. And so they've got a whole bunch of new books, including a new core book and a lot of stuff. And so it's like they're rebooting an old horror RPG franchise.
The latest edition before this was came out in 2018 and was powered by the Apocalypse.
So they did an Apocalypse one. That might have also been done by by Modiphius, honestly, because they do.
I'm not sure.
Let me just quickly see if Wikipedia will tell me anything. Okay, so the original 4th edition came out in 2018 by Free League Press. It sounds like. So I'm assuming they put out probably just the core book, and this is basically who the hell is calling me? I'm gonna mute myself for a second on stream and figure out if this is just spam or something.
Let's take a look at this.
Horror RPGs are always fun, but they're definitely can be real shit depending on the group.
Is that what this is? Oh, yeah. Mature content warning. Yes.
It'd be a horror RPG.
Yeah.
Highly depends on the group. I like horror RPGs a lot.
I think it really depends on how horror it goes. Like, I'm okay with like mild horror themes, but like when you start going hardcore, like rated R plus, no children ever allowed. That the movies go really hard sometimes, and it's just like, I don't care.
Like I've done or played in body horror campaign before, which was pretty fun.
Trying to stay alive in a world full of pain, torture, and death.
I
turned to the stream.
I probably wouldn't enjoy this game, just based off that line.
Well, it's very Hellraiser-y, apparently, or
something.
Yeah,
pain, torture, and death.
Yeah, well, it's a horror system.
Yeah, but that's a bit extreme for me. Again, personal
taste. Average horror.
I honestly, like, for a horror system, it's very hit or miss for me. Just the concept
horror highly depends on your players, and also very much depends on your DM. Horror is hard to do in a tabletop setting.
So it's sort of like Call of Cthulhu is technically got like a horror kind of aspect to it. It's like a psychological horror more than anything. It's supposed to be, but they do it in mixed bags, and it definitely depends on the situation for that one. I feel like this one's probably pretty out there in its own thing, but again, honestly, it's up to whoever you've got, for the rules. But so I think that's about it for that. They're basically like this 4th edition that's been out. They're like, hey, here's actual products for it.
I know that Kult is one of the systems that is mildly responsible for the moral panic around tabletop that happened in the 90s.
I'd believe it.
That makes sense. Yeah, third edition came out.
D&D was not it.
Yeah. Third edition came out in 2004. Fourth edition originally came out 2018. Now, 4 years later, we're getting actual products for that fourth edition, more than just a core book. Probably again because the connections between Free League Press and Modifius, honestly.
Maybe
because they've been publishing a lot of their stuff. There's one more topic for today. One more Kickstarter. A Cyberpunk one. Cyberpunk.
Those are fun. And
Cyberpunk RPG. They say it's a love letter to cyberpunk animes, movies, books, and French rock operas in the form of a game.
You know, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The first picture is it's a picture.
Yeah. There's some pictures there that you can, take, go to this, because it. I don't. Would that be adult wording there? I don't know. I guess
the picture is not Twitch appropriate. We'll just say that.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be against. Actually, it would be fine because it's not the focus of the stream.
Yeah, but I don't think you can show things. Period.
There's levels you can get away with, but I think I wouldn't.
Highly depends because David Cage games are fine, and those often feature full frontal nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I know with art stuff because I watch a lot of art streams. There's things you just cannot draw.
Yeah, I think because that becomes the focus of it. Whatever.
Yeah, as long as it is not of the focus, it is fine.
Yeah, I think in the David Cage game, it's there, but it's just there.
It's there, and it's there for an uncomfortable amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's not the focus
secondary.
technically. Yeah, it's something that honestly I just don't rather not face what the level is.
Avoid.
Yeah, so it's set in Montreal in 2099.
There is a free demo of the game.
Yeah.
Demo will have a rough idea of the final product. It is lacking a lot of art and is only a small sample of the final product.
French Canada.
And
not the setting I choose.
In itch.io.
I'm assuming the people are from the area, so that's why they're doing it.
It's easy to write about a place you're from.
Yeah.
Looks like a very simple system.
Sometimes simple is good, though.
Yeah, simple is good.
So
Cyberpunk is fun.
Yep. So if you want to download the demo, check it out. I think both of these Kickstarters that I talked about are funded. This one's even funded too.
Yes,
so
this one is funded.
Yeah,
they didn't ask for a lot of money, and they definitely got more than they asked for.
Probably because they probably don't have a physical release for it.
It's just
highly likely.
Yeah, it's just we just want some publishing for our PDF. Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like they probably will be releasing it through itch.io, so there's already technically a platform established. They don't need their own website or hosting stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like they do have a print version, but it's a paperback because it's magazine. They call it magazine print copy. Yeah.
Significantly cheaper.
Yeah. So not.
It might be a print on demand kind of thing too.
Yeah, you probably get it through the Kickstarter and then print on demand for the rest. Yeah, honestly, if after the Kickstarter's done, so. Yeah, paperback is cheaper than hardback by a lot.
Much cheaper.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I thought that was honestly just the idea. I didn't scroll down to that first art. I read the blurb about it and
You didn't see the art.
I don't go direct when I learn about a lot of these things. I'm on a third party tabletop news sites that I look for topics through because
so they probably didn't show this on that.
No,
website.
They did not. So they gave the
fine.
intro blurb that's on this Kickstarter and then a little bit of other information about it, and that was oh, that seems cool. Let's talk about that. And then you just scroll down.
Yeah. There's 75% of the art is done.
Looks like
that might be one of them.
At least be inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be inclusive.
But I mean that's one of the big themes of Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Is that the blending between man, machine, gender normalities and stuff. That's a big focus of the setting. Is are you really what you are? You know?
Yeah, it's the idea that you can pretty much be anything. You know, that you can change what you are because of like just the technology there, and like and because you're already blending in with the machines, so we're all becoming a little just bit more of the same anyway. In a way, you know, the physical shell means less than the spiritual stuff almost. Cyberpunk is very interesting in that genre. That I feel like it goes. Just as a little commentary about this, it goes a little bit beyond, you know, the real world of people wanting to, because it's people want to be what they feel like they are, but this blend goes like a farther direction. Is like it's more than that. You're just becoming more of everybody, and everybody is in a way part of the machine, and it is usually there's like both good and bad storylines related to that. You know, like go watch the original Ghost in the Shell. Well, you know, that is highly a machine about like what it means to be like a person, and like, well, if you're just a brain in a jar and a robot body, are you still yourself?
You a person?
Yeah, are you a person? And if you're barely connected to that, and you can just live within a cybernetic world in between, like in an internet world, does that mean you have a physical body anymore? You know, or something like that, or is that you who you are? Are you the ghost in the machine, quite literally? And so, like, it becomes this, like, there's those kind of idealisms very permeate Cyberpunk a lot of times. Like the what are you, who are you kind of things, and what it means to be maybe human or not human. And so, like,
it's a very academically discussed genre.
Yeah. And so, more stuff in that genre I don't mind, honestly. It's a very fun genre. And, you can get very mixed bags. You can certainly get much more bleak looks at Cyberpunk than others. You know, there's some very like dark storylines in comparison to others, and like dark worlds you can visit, and more like ones that are a lot more idealistic. And you can find definitely what you want. And honestly, I'm not sure how this one fills out. If it's going to be more of like a bleak future or not bleak future, I guess look into it and read up on it. And you're going to be in Montreal. Yeah, that's a setting. It's a place.
I mean, it's more of a place than a setting.
At least it's not a town. Quebec City.
It's not Quebec, that's true. For whatever reason. Look, I have nothing against Quebec personally, but there's...
Quebec, it's terrible.
Sorry, Quebec.
Terrible. People are very rude there.
Come on, Quebec. Be a better part of Canada. Don't be another U.S. We're already dicks over here.
Well, it's more like it's another France, except like
ooh,
they have a bad version of France.
Ooh, it's a bad because I've been to France and France was okay.
Canadian is pretty.
It's lesser France.
It's something.
Because the French, like I've been to France. They'll probably like not look down at you, but they'll be at least like reasonable. Like, you will give me your tourist money, and then I will look down at you while I enjoy counting my cash.
Probably depends where you go. Quebec and Paris, not the friendliest places for tourists.
Paris was an interesting experience. Anyway, our deeper discussion topic. Let's get this at least. Con fails.
Is corn?
No, I said
corn.
Con fails, not corn. It could be
okay, not corn fails.
Not corn fails. That's a different issue, which we're not dealing with right now.
It'll be different this time.
So the idea is that I wanted this topic here because there are things that like a video game convention, no, not just video game convention, any convention can do, which are failures that conventions tend to do. Now, granted, there are those failures that are like things that conventions love to try out and will never work. There are those failures that conventions have to do and will never work right. Like lines. Conventions at a line, or lines at a convention, will always suck.
Yeah.
There's like no good way to do them.
There's nothing you can do about lines. They're just a fundamental part of life.
And the thing is, like...
life is just a big queue.
And there are those that attempt to do it very good, and there's others that just are always bad. I mean, honestly, there's things like when you're like waiting to get into a convention, having a line around the block to get in or something like that.
Oh, that one's real bad.
Yeah.
That's when you just pretty much just tell people to go home at that
was
point.
my experience with RTX.
I've been to plenty of conventions where like the waiting line is much longer than you would like, and very much around the block kind of thing.
Let me put it this way: I've been in that situation. It was more enjoyable to go to like a streamer fan meetup than deal with a convention.
Yeah, I can see that.
Fucking lines are awful sometimes.
Yeah, no, and like it's things like, yeah, having what was the like, well, you say family, but like having signings, like autograph signings. Those are usually just bad in there because they're like they never give the right amount of area for these things because you don't
really
know what
do
you can do.
not. You never know who's going to show up.
Yeah,
So you kind of can't.
and so it's just
Also, you have such a limited time, and basically you just walk up, get the autograph, maybe hit, like say 3 words, and then you next person.
Yeah, and so like you have to. The thing is, these things are an important part of a convention. Like I feel like the autograph thing is like maybe that's not a necessity, but it's something that's always kind of been there. There's always going to be people that are like important in whatever industry you're in.
Highly depends on what kind of convention it is for autograph stuff. Because something like TwitchCon or RTX needs those because they are very streamer-based conventions.
Yeah. I think like a PAX doesn't.
No, PAX really doesn't. Like an anime convention could need them for voice actors.
Yeah, or directors or something like that, or like even like because anime convention, it could be like a person that does like anime songs or something, like there's like there is a large variety of people, and like a lot of like the nerd culture ones, like Comic-Con certainly would have a lot of them. Like a Star Trek convention, a Star Wars convention, any kind of like specifically nerd culture one definitely needs it.
Actors.
Yeah, actors and stuff. And so like there are a few exceptions to those kind of things, definitely. But a lot of times, autographs are always going to be a big fail that you're going to have to be a convention. If you really want one, you're going to have to deal with the shit that has to deal with it, and they're never going to do it right. But I think it's also that there are, like, the things that, like, yes, a convention cannot do it right, and it kind of is an important part of it. We can kind of forgive ourselves for those fails. What I want to talk about is, like, because we have, like, PAX East going on now, what about a lot of the concerns about problems? Like, I have encountered so many conventions that have, like, weird safety issues that they never fix. Or, like, having enough people. Like, they need people that they're working for them.
To the safety thing, I am friends with a number of cosplayers. Many of the lady variety.
Mm-hmm.
They have to deal with a lot of creepy people at these things. And conventions often don't really do enough to stop that.
Yeah, I can see that, unfortunately. I think that's like something like an anime convention. I feel like there's an issue because there's so many costume people. Like, as much as I see costume people at other conventions, that is the one that, like, I've been to anime conventions. There are, like, maybe at least 20% of the people feel like sometimes they're doing some kind of costume, even if it's very loose. Yeah. Like, it could be very simple ones. So the really complex one are more rare, but you at least have 20% of people trying to dress up.
It's pretty easy to dress up as a character.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to do a very detailed version of that.
Yeah. So certainly,
from some of the limited stuff that I know about, granted this could be years out of date.
Yeah.
When someone like is like a professional cosplayer, they tend to be like at a place and people are around like handling the crowd and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're not in that situation, yeah, I completely see how that could be really weird.
That is still very much how it goes.
Yeah.
Like, the professionals are far and few between. There's a lot of people that do professional level and aren't professionals, honestly, I would tell you. Hi, Damien. Welcome back once again. She's like, I have left, I've come back. You know, meow, meow, meow. You could be a cosplayer. Damien's technically is a cosplayer. We have had costumes on her, and she puts up with it.
She puts on the cat suit. She's really a demon.
Actually, it's an imp.
Just an imp in disguise. She can go invisible occasionally. But no, I guess it's that kind of like security issue. Every convention needs security, and like certain ones will need more than others. Honestly, it depends on how rowdy and how bolsterous your groups can have, and how many people you have. But it's sort of like, it's not an easy thing to judge how much you need. And I know that, you might be, you don't know. But I feel like it's one of those things that conventions often fail at. They don't have enough people to do what they need to do to look after everything, to start out with. And then, like, again, as we're saying, for safety concerns, it's like, it's sometimes hard to keep people out of places. Yeah. There are things you could probably do to do a better job of doing that. Or, go ahead.
Definitely conventions that do, like TwitchCon is one of these, where they do the kind of the behind-the-scenes bar thing, right? There are 100% a lot of safety concerns with that, and a lot of conventions kind of don't do enough to prevent certain things that could happen.
Like, and I'll tell you, like, I was like, from PAX South, the fun place. I remember when we were there, like, I ended up, ending up in a couple of places that, like, you go there to hang out because you think it's something that's accessible, but it's technically you're not supposed to have it. But they don't lock doors. They don't, like, keep things. They don't put up, like, stuff to block off things. And you're like, well, you don't want people there. And it's like, well, what are you doing to prevent it? You're not doing anything to prevent it. If someone goes across a line or something, that's something. They're specifically doing it. But a lot of times they just don't set up stuff to be like, don't go here or don't do this. Yeah,
like there's a sign or something, and people just accidentally do it.
Yeah. Specifically, there's gonna be jerk people, and that comes back to, like, you having enough personnel to, like, make sure you have to check on these things, occasionally or something. But it just, I feel like conventions feel very organized chaos sometimes.
Yeah, definitely there is a level of chaos to conventions, and you can't predict, like, literally most of the things that are going to happen. That's life and large crowds of people.
Yeah, no. And certainly, like, you can use examples of real life things, like sporting games where you've had riots afterwards. People, they don't expect that. You can't expect that. You can't expect, like, a huge riot. But sometimes they've happened because people are crazy as a group.
It's large amounts of people in a small place.
Yeah.
Right? Something is probably going to happen.
I think, some of the other, like, side of this entire thing is that, I think the idea of why I wanted to talk about this too, especially again with, like, PAX East going on right now, which has, it having been there, it's not a huge tabletop presence, but it's a pretty decent one. Like, that's it. If you wanted to see some tabletop at PAX East, you certainly could. And they organize things fairly well, but I always feel like there's certain things that, like, oh god, I think it was Thursday or Friday or something, they had the press can get in an hour early. That didn't work.
No.
You know how hard it is to get that early? It's hard to get that early too.
Yeah. Something like that usually never works, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think you would want to open to the public 2 hours later in reality, not open early.
But they don't do it that way, and it's just...
Be like, hey, the event starts at 8 for press, and at 10 for everyone else, like the public, or whatever, as long as you have a pass or whatever, right?
Well, they did 8 and 9. So eight is still very early on, like, in a day, and so, like, getting in there, especially after, like, you might have been traveling the day before or something like that, you know, that makes it difficult, you know, because again, like, you have to consider, yes, you've got a large local, but there's a lot of people that fly in and for these things.
A lot of press are not local, and depending on the kind of press and what it is, they may not have the ability to wake up super early. Yeah. Because I do know a lot of people in the gaming journalism sphere can't really do that because of the general... Because being a journalist in any field, it's very demanding, and you're very tired a lot of the time.
See, this is why
Especially
I do
jet lag.
This is why I do a weekly show, and I rarely go to events because honestly, the journalism side of things at these events, I cover them, but it's hard to do a lot of that shit.
Journalism is a very exhausting field.
That's why, like, honestly, I like our very, like, casual version of what Discussing Tabletop is now. It's we hang out, talk about a bunch of shit, and have some fun, you know, because we can do some of that journalist stuff. We don't have to do the super professional, I'm going to murder myself stuff. You know, that's hard. And I respect to those that do it. All the respect. Whew. But yeah, that was one of those things, is like, I'm not going to that. I would love to go to that. I wasn't going to that. I wasn't going to be there at that early port where, yeah, it would have been great with my media pass to get in there and to check out all this stuff early and have a chance to go to a lot of these things, which, granted, as I said, I went to a lot of them anyway because I used that, like, you know, like Sunday early on or Sunday late on, you can probably hit up a lot of these things. It's like, I was driving home, so, like, I could just leave mid-afternoon on Sunday and get home at a reasonable time. It was a 5-hour journey, which is tough. A 5-hour drive is tough, but it's not that bad from, like...
For me to go to... I'll use PAX East as an example, because that's the closest nationwide... Well, there's one closer, but that's not relevant to this conversation.
I mean, you could use Philadelphia. I think that might be a little closer.
What I tend to... If I would need to go to, like, a Philadelphia one or PAX, there's a train line I can take.
Yeah.
It takes a long-ass time, but I could take it.
And you're not driving, at least.
It's fairly cheap. And it is somewhat comfortable because trains are a bit comfortable, at least. Depending on seating arrangements.
Yeah. But, you know, like a train line is definitely a good way of doing it. Like, honestly, like a 5-hour drive is not one I can do, you know.
A lot of conventions take place in the good old US of A where we don't have fast trains.
We have old trains.
We have a kind of older, aging rail infrastructure here.
And I have to say, even, like, getting from places like, from PAX South, getting from an airport to somewhere, not easy. And then, like, you know...
we have a terrible transportation system.
Luckily, both times I went there, I was able to get, like... I had arranged for these, like, bus drop-offs. And luckily, like, the first time, it was a lot better of a system. The second time, I got lucky because the hotel I chose, which was much closer to the convention center I managed to get into... actually had, like, more stuff to it from the airport, you know, because it was one that was like I was right outside the Alamo, which I didn't know the Alamo was in the middle of a fucking city.
Yeah.
And it's also like I did talk to someone that was local, and they're like, it is the worst tourist trap in, like, the area. So I mean, I'm like,
I have heard that.
Glad I didn't actually go to it there during my time there. Would have been. I wasn't even that interested, you know. It's like
I don't really care about Texas history, I'll be honest.
I like kind of battle war things, but, like, the Texas one of it just didn't... Because the thing is, like, you know more about it historically. It's just, like, it's not, like, Revolutionary War, Civil War stuff. Like,
I could go, right, like, this weekend and just go to Gettysburg. It's not that far from me. Will I? No, I've been there before.
Yeah, you go to Gettysburg once. It's a good historical thing. And honestly, like, you know...
I've been there twice.
Yeah, I could actually take, like, a half an hour and go to Mount Vernon. Or, you know, like...
You could go to Fort Pitt. I don't want to. I've been there before.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Revolutionary War stuff near to me, within like a half an hour to an hour. I've been to most of them. But anyway, yeah. It's like distance. Well, we were talking about distance. I've really lost track of
traveling to conventions.
Traveling to conventions.
That's why we were talking about.
Yeah, because it was related to like journalism. But like even so, me driving in 5 hours means I either have to come in a day early, or I have to plan to be there later on the first day.
This is something I think it's not always feasible for a lot of conventions. There should be a press day, or a longer period of time for press. Like half of day one should be press only, so they actually get time to look at things and do interviews.
Yeah, I love that. You know, that was one of those things that doing interviews just didn't feel good trying to like get them or something. It was always just trying to like squeeze in time at places, you know, and honestly I did my best for this entire thing. It just I don't know. I feel like they just... It's concepts that are not bad per se, I guess, is the best way to say it. They want the press to have some time. It's just not... It's not done right. And a lot of conventions do.
It's not enough time.
They fail with it so much time. And, like, I have to say, like, maybe... Okay, I'll give you something like maybe PAX. I don't know if there's that many press to it, but it also it's like, maybe you would encourage more press if you would do it that way. And maybe it's not meant to be a press event. But still, if you're going to have a press side, maybe act that way a little bit.
For all of E3's faults, the good thing that it was is it was a press-only event for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't, and then that kind of ruined it.
Yeah. Because it was a press event. If you were in the press, you could get there.
It's a press event for new and exciting technologies, and it's not very entertaining to be there.
I think, like, maybe like Comic-Con or something, because they have specifically like they have like two shows. They have like a press side of things that they have like press events where like press can go specifically to on their own, and then of course they have the big showroom floor stuff sometimes.
Yeah,
I think that's something that maybe because of the nature of it, that's why they established it that way. But if you want something like that at your show, talk with your people and maybe provide them spaces for the stuff like that, and maybe they'll do things like that and have that separation and make it work. And then you can have, rather than the press signing up, they have like press show. It's like, if you want to come to this press show, you can come to this one.
Yeah, you know? Press only shows would be very nice.
Yeah. Like they could have like and like if you're a company, you could have like I schedule like a couple throughout the weekend, like maybe one a day or something, you know, or like, and again, like if you're a much smaller group and you can't do something like that, you can have people come for individual interviews and do like the thing that they do now for everything else, you know, for everything they do it now. But you know, it works for the smaller people, and the bigger we can get the bigger people out of the way, the people that are hard to get press connections with or something, or they run out of spaces and you can't get them. You know, there should be a separation between this stuff, and freaking the cons have to work more on their side for this stuff. I don't know. And sometimes venue choices I feel like are not always the good thing.
They do, yeah. Getting a venue big enough is also very difficult.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
I mean, the two cons I tended to go to, which are not relevant to this show, because one is a thing and the other is a music convention kind of thing.
Yeah.
They have a venue that never changes because they're known for using that venue, and they're very big conventions.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't always get the same venue, and sometimes the venue is just a little too small.
Well, I think it's also like, I'll take a couple of examples here. Otakon, which I went to for a lot of years, I stopped going when they switched venues. But they didn't switch venue to another part of the city. Because Boston was renovating their convention center, they had to move. They moved to Washington, D.C. The thing about that is a much bigger city, and a much more busy city. And that's a problem. Because they're the middle of the summer. So rather than being Boston, middle of the summer, not Boston, Baltimore, middle of the summer, I'm sorry, Baltimore. I might have said Boston, this is Baltimore. Which, I mean, has some touristy stuff to it, but not a whole lot. Instead, you move to the tourist capital, because it's our capital, and, like, expect in a summertime, when everybody visits for all the touristy shit, to be there.
Yeah, like, I mean, MagFest, which is the music one I used to go to a lot, that's always at the Gaylord Hotel, and it's a very big place with a lot of rooms that they can use. That event has, like, never changed its venue since it's existed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, if it fits the bill, it fits the bill. Like, honestly, like, Otakon was feeling pretty big towards the end, but it still fit the convention center. The Baltimore Convention Center was pretty decently sized. You know, PAX Unplugged feels like it fits the Philadelphia one. Granted, I will tell you, the Philadelphia one has some problems because that convention center is kind of dicks for a lot of some of the stuff they do on the side. But there's room for that place to grow into to a degree. There are still some places they don't utilize. Not a lot, but some. Something like PAX East, I think they've kind of reached the end of that venue if they get much bigger. They probably will have to cap out at some point in time, honestly, whatever that cap is, because that venue, they use all of it. You know, it's a big venue. The Boston Convention Center we were at. I don't know. There's a couple other convention centers in Boston. That might be the best one. I don't know. But yeah, certainly, like, you know, choosing your venue, that's a thing. And, like, changing your venue and, like, knowing when to, like, control these things and a lot of these choices. Conventions don't always make the right choices a lot of times.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Maybe a hotel convention area, area is what you can use.
Yeah, like, if you can get a hotel that is attached to a convention center, like the David Lawrence Convention Center or the Gaylord Convention Center, that's the ideal. But you can't always get those.
There was one in, was it Plymouth Meeting near me? Plymouth Meeting, I think it was. Where there was, like, a Sheraton attached to, like, a convention thing, and that's where, for many a year, Star Trek conventions would go into. And we could get in there because, back when my parents worked as printers, someone that they did work for, owned concession stands that would be in convention centers. And so they were like, I can get you, like, help you with some tickets and stuff. You know, turns out when you do printing for someone that does that, you know, you can get friends. Printing business doesn't exist anymore.
No, printing is dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the technical business side of it, that business still exists, but literally my father just goes down once a week to do any kind of, like, typesetting or, like, arrange things. It's pretty much just, they're the middleman between, like, some bigger companies, you know.
Yeah, like,
for like, business cards and shit like now. And
there's not a big printing industry anymore.
Yeah, it's much more limited. And as I said, my dad goes down once a week to the same company that him and my mom went for a couple decades, that they would just go down there every day. Now he can go down once a week and get everything done for that business, and it still technically exists, but it's very middleman-y. They have a copy machine for when they need to do some of that stuff. Though my uncle who owns the business can do that on his own sometimes too. It is a thing that exists. But, you know, back then, you know, Star Trek convention got it there. Yes, Damien, you're standing on top of a bag, meowing.
Look at me. I am the bag master.
It's technically like a bag of some stuff outside of my room because, like, when our house got cleaned up, a lot of stuff ended up in my room, and I didn't have a place to put it, and it was the bag I used for, I think, PAX Unplugged when I went, and it doesn't really have much in it, but it's just sort of like I've left it out there to, like, eventually empty it out, and she was standing on it meowing. It's just this weird image. Oh, God. I couldn't think of anything else on the top of my head that's a big con fail off the top of my head. honestly. There are probably more of them.
Probably more.
I mean, honestly, like, oh god, emergency problems. Because
Emergency exits.
Yeah.
I was at Otakon. 2 of the times I was there were fire alarm pools.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, that's the best way.
Just little shitheads.
One time was later on at evening, so like we were kind of like outside at night, and there wasn't that many people there. That one went okay. I think we just ended up going back to the hotel rather than wait around. The other time, the middle of the day on Saturday, and most conventions are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday being the biggest day.
Yeah.
The streets outside were clouded with people because we couldn't fit on like the areas that were, you know, sidewalks and stuff.
Nice.
It was just so chaos. You know,
I feel like that comes down to overcrowding.
Well, that's like a convention center, which technically has like a space for like 20,000 people. And when 20,000 people exit that all at the same time to an area nearby that isn't built for 20,000 people.
Yeah, the exiting part, I think, is less of the issue and more the, like, gotta keep an eye on those things.
You don't have emergency plans for that.
No.
Sounds like another security thing, partly.
Yeah, it's part of security issues.
Having plans in place.
Yeah, having like proper evacuation plans and plans if it's, you know, not an actual emergency. Those are very important.
Yeah, it's just that they did not have a good plan in place for that entire thing. You know, there was no loudspeaker. It was just sort of like the fire alarms went off and everybody just started leaving. And like if you were hanging around, you know, not realizing that you really should leave when most people were smart enough to, the people that they had like their, you know, gopher people wandering around being like, hey, everybody out, it's an alarm, get out, you know, when they could see people, you know, walk through the area. But it's just the terrible way of doing it a little bit, you know?
It just seems like the organization hasn't got any better. I mean, I'm sure it has, but it seems like it's not to the point where it should be, considering the size of the events.
Yeah. All right. Now, this one I think I'm going to ignore the phone call from, because it says it's from Florida. I don't know anybody in Florida.
Well,
I mean, I know someone from Florida.
You know one person from Florida, but I doubt they're calling you.
See, the one that was from Percy is a town nearby, and it turns out it was my mother asking me if, like, I'm going to pick up a pizza. Do you want pizza? And then I'm like, okay, the frozen food that I got for myself that I put in the freezer that I was going to make later, I can do that on another day. I can have pizza. You know. But Florida, that's something else. Anyway. I think that's enough for con fails for now. Like, honestly, like, it just is like, be ready for a convention. Conventions will never be perfect, honestly. What you have to be ready for is that you prepare for
your expectations.
Take your expectations and prepare for your own safety and have your own plans in place.
Yes.
You know, just that. Big things like fires, you probably don't have to worry about. But things like lines, other issues, whether or not you want to get like a autograph or something, plan ahead yourself for that kind of things. Come up with like time frames, you know, like alarms or stuff like that. Give yourself certain, like a schedule. Schedules help a lot, and that can undo a lot of issues that the shit that conventions can have with you. You have to make up for their short.
You really do,
unfortunately. But just be ready to. How about our week at Tabletop?
Yeah.
We kind of reached that. Anybody have anything on a Saturday? Last Saturday?
No.
Sunday?
Also no. Although, sadly, I won't have anything more on Sunday because due to schedule changes, I have to drop from that game. On the last session, too, which sucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it going to be the last session?
It's going to be the last session tomorrow. I can't make it.
Oh.
See, that kind of sucks. Like, even if, like, you were like, so, you know, like, because it sounded like you were a little exasperated with it. Being the last
session, I was like, I want to do this. And it's like, nah, I got to go into work at 6 in the morning. Can't do it.
Oof, that's a painful one. Oof.
Well,
Always
I already
lucky.
told the DM what my character will do and does.
Yeah.
So, more likely,
Explode the sun.
my character blows things up. They're a wizard.
But how about Monday? Anybody have anything on a Monday?
I don't have things on Mondays.
I mean, all three of us had something on a Tuesday, though.
You all had
Did you not have? Because you had a second edition Pathfinder, or is that like on hiatus still or something?
It is not on hiatus. It has moved to Fridays, and it is. We have it every few weeks at this point in time. It's unfortunate that our DM, our DM had a job change, and then has made it that she has less time to run it. It's sort of like random when stuff is coming up.
Yeah.
And then also she had things like her one pet was sick. She has rabbits, and one of them was really sick for a while, and it's some stuff's been going on with her parents and helping them out. So it's just been like she's had very little time to play. Like she was
real life, it happens.
Yeah,
real life do happen.
So she was planning for this week, but she's like, look, sorry, some things have come up with my parents this time, and we're like, look, you keep having issues. We know it.
Life happens.
So it's kind of at this point like a once a month thing almost, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind the game. It's fun when we play it, but it's there, But Tuesday,
we did have a Tuesday game.
Did have a Tuesday game.
We did crime.
Well, technically.
It was technically crime.
Technically crime, but you did a good thing.
Because it's crime against the evil empire.
Yeah.
It's a Star Wars game.
and
we saved some alien prisoners from probably being sent to gulags.
Yeah.
Well, work camps. Yeah, that's where they were going to be sent.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
It's look, the Star Wars Empire is like comically evil. It really is.
They are very comic book evil, and they were designed that way for a reason.
Yeah.
It's easy to dislike them as a whole because they're actually just bad.
Yeah, they're actually shitty people. But you helped a lady get her child back.
Yeah.
And you did that by robbing a train and killing everyone but the pilots on board.
Some of those stormtroopers might have survived.
True. The one who was picked up and thrown off the train, however, is very much dead.
They're horribly dead and irradiated in the bottom of some hellhole.
I was not privy to any of the deaths there. I hit no one.
You didn't.
You hit like once out of like
time.
5?
It might have been more than that. No, it was more than that. I had like 4 rounds and I hit like once.
No, you did cause a death. You drained someone's life.
No, I missed them.
No, you did it a second time on a different
I missed
guy.
that one also.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I think you sacrificed your own hit die.
I did use my own hit dice to heal someone.
That was me. You healed me with a hit die.
Mm-hmm.
For the like 3
I got hit
HP you
once.
were missing.
Yeah, I got hit for like 3 damage.
I was going to steal other people's life force to do that, but apparently I couldn't. I failed to do that.
Yeah.
They were too hard to hit.
The DM crit like everyone.
I made your spell a little bit to be a save instead of a to hit.
It was fine as a to hit. I just rolled so badly. I don't know. Whichever.
I think
with more because it's a custom spell with playtesting. It's subject to change.
Yeah, I think the idea is 2 hits on average do more damage than saves.
Yeah.
So if you change it from a save, you'll have to like lower.
It'll be like a half damage.
Yeah.
And shit.
Or like it'll be like 1 less dice because it's like a 3d6 or something.
A lot of damage spells do save spells do a lot of dice damage, but if they make the save, they take half and have none of the heal effects.
Yeah. Fun fact, completely unrelated to our week in tabletop, I've been working on an entire magic system for a friend of mine's homebrew world. All of the magic, every bit of it, I've been working on. So like,
fun.
I've had experience in creating new things and adapting other stuff.
But yeah, you assaulted a prison train.
They bought a car?
Beat the boys who were on it, and you saved the prisoners. And you met 2 Mandalorian people, one of which Saster Gungan.
Yeah.
The Gungan also hit on him.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Our Gungan's just horny. Look, man. he doesn't see any more of his species, so he just wants to like have something to have relationship with. You know, I feel like
He's gonna be with the Mandalorian. I'll tell you that much.
Casting a wide net.
yeah,
it's really wide, and a lot of things go through. But eventually it'll grab something. What that thing will be, no one knows.
It's gonna be a hut.
Yeah, I might become a Mandalorian. Who knows?
You might. You have two you could talk to.
Yeah, and they seem like pretty chill.
Not
They
all
like my
fine
helmet.
people are dicks.
Yeah, we have helmet vibes going. You know.
yeah.
We both love wearing helmets for different reasons.
You just want Beskar armor.
I mean, it's actually not that good if you look at
it's
the
not.
rules.
It's
Just kind of like, it's like,
It's
I don't even know if it's adamantine good because it's
flavor.
only on crits.
Yeah, that is adamantine basically.
But adamantine
Adamantine does ignore crits, to be fair.
it ignores crits. This one specifically is when they roll a crit, they have to re-roll the damage and take the lower number.
That's like okay.
So it's like a lesser adamantine, which is like I'm like cool with that. I think that's fine as like as a concept idea, but it lowers the value because it's like, oh, if they crit, they can do lower damage.
I think
it's
it's also because in normal 5e we have like 2 materials to make things out of.
Yeah,
Versus
so that's
other systems that have a lot more materials.
I mean,
yeah, but you get
Pathfinder's
into
too many weird ones.
It kind of comes down to how big are the bonuses, because it could be one of those things where the bonuses are pretty trivial, so it's more of like a customing, tailoring your character. Because when you have like, if it was real Beskar armor or whatever, it would probably like stop a bunch of energy damage, right?
Yeah.
Which would be pretty broken.
Yeah, it would.
So
yeah,
they can't just do it like that.
You met a squid face lady, saved your kid, and you met 2 Mandalorians, and they seem like pretty chill people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other part of the party bought a car.
They did buy an air speeder.
I didn't give any of the money because I'm like.
Amusingly, I said they were gonna just like let you use one, and then the Gungan was like, no, we'll go buy our own. I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna get one, but sure.
Now you have your own car, which will come up like every now and then, maybe.
I guess. I have to remember it exists now.
It's a space Volvo.
Look, there's probably a couple of planets that when we visit them, we'll be able to use it on.
It'll help you get around faster.
It's very, very fast, but I mean, to be fair, we have 2 incredibly not sneaky people in the group, so we might as well just roll up in our space Volvo and just step out of the car and be like, "Hey, we're here to fight you guys."
At
Then
this
we can
point,
at least use it as cover.
Like,
We can at least use it as cover.
You got some people who are not the stealthiest lads.
Yeah, we have like I don't know if our war crimey Deveronian is heavy armor or if they're just.
I think he has heavy armor. I think.
Yeah, so we have 2 heavy armor characters, and one of them with a negative dex score.
Yeah, one of them has a sweet negative dex.
Which I believe they literally rolled a 0 at one point in stealth rolls.
Yep, rolled a 0 stealth. It's hilarious.
So it's kind of like, nope. I think I also got a nat 1 in stealth, but my nat 1s are like a 6 or something.
I had fully prepared for you to stealth into that train, and there was going to be stormtrooper dialogue beams, but you failed your stealth roll, so you didn't get that.
Well, I think we all rolled badly. We like
all rolled terribly.
Everyone except for the Gungan rolled bad, and the Gungan has a plus 11, and I think they rolled like a 9 or a 10 or an 11.
Yeah.
They rolled thoroughly average, but because they have a plus 11.
Yeah, so like for a little background for what I do, for every time there are stormtroopers, I do open up Fallen Order stormtrooper dialogue just in case you stealth close enough to hear their stupid conversation.
Amazing! It's too bad none of us are stealthy or can roll.
I couldn't roll that session. I think like we had like a check at the beginning I rolled well on, and after that I rolled.
You rolled well once. Cell wasted 4 natural 20s.
On like joke rolls or something.
Yeah.
2 on meme rolls, and then 2 on rolls that didn't matter that much.
There was we sold our plunder from
You
the
can
one
sell your
raid, and we got like a 20% or 30% increase or something.
Yeah, you got like a little bit more.
Yeah, and most of it went to the ship, and a little bit went to the crew, and then we divided up the rest,
Yeah.
which was immediately used to buy a car.
Yeah, immediately used to buy a car.
Everyone is broke again except for me, who's like, I'm just gonna hoard this money.
I just love Cell's character gets money, and then the party needs it to buy a car, so Cell's character is poor again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give them a loan or something.
I keep having money, and I'm like, I could do money for this. Because I have nothing to use it on, honestly.
That's like the problem with a lot of 5e classes. You don't have to spend your money on anything, so it just accumulates.
I think because we have like 3 Jedi. Well, one of the Jedi uses heavy armor, so like they will have something to spend money
Now,
on.
granted, this does give me a lot more flexibility for you guys to buy what would be quote-unquote magic items.
Yeah, because they would just be high-tech.
Because it's just high-tech items.
Yeah.
Rather than actual magic shit.
So, like, the most expensive things for Tantus and my character are going to be, like, lightsaber mods and stuff like that.
Lightsaber mods. You can get crystals that give you bonuses.
Yeah.
That stuff would be probably
I think Tantus's bonus needs to be a bonus to attack rolls.
Yeah, there's one that has that.
Like,
we'll try and find that crystal for you.
Honestly, they could be like...
Honestly, you could probably find one on Coruscant.
It's the problem with, like, my build, though, is that I have to... I'm probably a little muted because I'm plugging in my phone right now.
Yeah, you're like... There you go. That's
yeah,
better.
sorry. I have to have, like, 3 or 4 ability scores.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is after everyone made their character and after session 1, I saw the optional rule that said you can just let people pick the force casting mod.
You should really just be like, hey, Tantus.
Honestly, if you want to respec, I don't care.
It wouldn't make a huge difference. At most, I could maybe give myself another +1, put my dex up.
But, like, if you definitely just want to pick a force cast mod, just pick whatever your higher one is.
I usually kind of split between them still, because the difference is 1. I have an 18 wisdom, a 16 charisma.
The dual casting ability is a cool idea. It does not work in 5e.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, it's really hard. And the thing is, like, I have by chance, because I think I had like a 15 in charisma, and one of my like optional feats gave me +1, and then with my ability score up, I went to like from the 16 to the 18 wisdom. That's the only reason I have them this close. Like, honestly speaking, very easily the wisdom could go outshine it, because that's the one I'd probably want to focus on more, honestly. So like, they're equivalent now-ish. And like dexterity, I'm going to ignore completely. And like, that's the thing, is that's to attack, which kind of sucks. To attack and damage.
Yeah, so that's the problem with this. It's unfortunate, but
you'll have to get like a cantrip attack power, because that will use your force attack rolls.
You don't really have one though.
But you can get one on like a level up or something.
No, I mean, like, they don't really have a good one.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of them.
Well, I'll look.
I think I've got an electrical one, and it's like a save.
Yeah, there's a save one. There are a few to hit ones. I don't know how good they are.
Yeah, I will look. But that was pretty much a Star Wars game. I think next week we're gonna raid the Jedi Temple or something.
A couple of options. The person who hired you to do the train job wants to talk to you again, and I think you had some questions for her.
We're gonna see if she knew stuff about the Jedi Temple that she could help us with.
I don't think they paid us, right?
They did pay you.
Oh, okay. Because I remember they wanted us to meet up with them later.
Yeah, she gave you a location to meet up with later.
Yeah, I thought that was to like get like the payment stuff, because I assumed, and I might have phased out because my brain. I assumed that we did not get paid because they were gonna like hawk all the supplies and then like, here's the payment. So it's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, spoilers, you might get more payment.
I mean, that'd be nice.
That was Star Wars.
That was Star Wars. We did have we didn't have Buccaneers, though.
We didn't have Buccaneers, no.
And I wasn't there for the Joe special.
Yeah,
I watched
I was
some
busy.
of it.
I liked doing it. It was fun. One of the voices tried to murder me, honestly.
Nice.
The evil shadow guy voice was really hard to do. It was fun to do, but it was like one of those really difficult one. And it it opened up like some like honestly, it's stuff that's going to be post game. You know, it's sort of like stuff that's like if you want to like in like I do this in my like interim after the main storyline is over, you know, and that would be cool. Like, you know, okay, here's more resolution stuff for Claude to do. You know, he added that for a little bit because he made an interesting choice for a lot of the people he wanted to talk to. He wanted to talk to the half dragon, which he found out that the half dragon was the daughter of a powerful dragon that specialized in magic, and then a planeswalker who had found a way to like ascend to be part angel. And because they're like the dragon's like, yeah, we can transform. Some of us can like learn spells to like transform into your forms. We don't have kids then when that happens. That doesn't work. But for some reason, I transformed into one of you, and I had an affair with this person, and a kid was born, and it was like, what the fuck? This shouldn't have worked. Probably was because of that like angelic spark that was in there, when that person kind of became like a half angel almost or something, you know. Or maybe the Planeswalker stuff. Who knows? Anyway, also learned that that person is more spiritual and could theoretically be removed from Claude. So if Claude can get back to that home plane, they can be separated from him. Yeah. Learn that the Slivers are after a missing queen. They haven't had a queen since the last one. That was on Wrath. And one is sensed. They can sense another one exists somewhere. But apparently that is what they are after. And most likely the people that are working for them know what's going on with that. So hence why your Sliver friend that Joe met is working for them to help get this queen. Toke to the Dothai, the Shadow Man. He learned that he's basically the Shadow Man is with him always. The Shadow Man is literally his shadow. And also, like, he basically says, like, there's apparently, like, some kind of, like, legion in there, and he's like, unleash the legion. We must murder everything. Because the shadow monsters, the Dothi, are very kill everyone else because our existence is tormented. And they kind of want to murder everybody still. So they were like, come on, let us out. We'll do our job. Things will die. You can do it. So that was pleasant on that end. He had a very nice conversation with them, and they probably aren't as helpful as he'd like them to be. And then he talked to the tree folk, and he learned that the horrible, evil, skinless witch is from Lorwyn, just like the tree folk he is from Lorwyn Shadowmere. Also, he learned because she is basically was like a noble in Ona's court. If she would return there, she might cause the Fey Queen to resurrect a lot quicker than she would normally. Like right now, the plane is settling down, having merged the two, you know, night and day together again. The Queen wants to return, probably not doing it for any near point in time, you know, kind of thing. If the powerful Fey courtier that exists would return ahead of time, then the answer would be maybe she would, and that would be very disastrous for the plane as it is now. So, poor witch lady can't go home, but she really wants to. Her and her skin suit. Which she has been making a skin suit. I've said that.
Oh, no, not the freaking skin witch.
Yeah.
It's the skin witch.
She's technically a very powerful fae, but also is kind of a witch. Yeah. So... And so Joe's like, I guess, the Claude's like, I guess that is a problem we probably should take care of, because it is our fault, and we've been ignoring it. And I'm like, yes.
Consequences of actions? No.
Uh-huh. Probably should take care of that. Just saying.
Yeah. They've made a lot of mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and just refused to deal with any of their problems.
Not all of them are their fault, but most of them are. That was the Claude special. It was fun. Anything?
It was fun watch.
Yeah. Anybody do anything else on a Thursday or perhaps a Friday?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I'm planning things for that though.
I'm planning some things in the future. I think when I'm done finishing set up everything for for Buccaneers, which I'm pretty close to being done setting up everything for the rest of the season. I'm nearly done. I have a few more custom NPC type characters to enter into the system. Those take a little longer to do because you have to be like all their stats, feats, and special abilities. You have to kind of copy and paste them all in there, and so it takes a lot longer than I drag and drop this monster in. Oh wait, this monster has a template in it. Well, I change its stats a little bit. That takes a couple of minutes. There we go. We're done.
Yeah.
But no, the player thing is like, well, what spells do I have to drag and drop into here? I just got that one too. Well, fuck. I am planning some things. I think I want to do another first edition game. I'm going to be doing, I think, Madness after Buccaneers. I do want to do at some point in time Arise the Rune Lords. I think on stream that'd be a fun one because it's just a classic fantasy. I want to do a Pathfinder one off stream because it sounds like a change of schedule. We might be losing a third, the fourth player for Buccaneers, but they would still maybe want to do Pathfinder. So maybe on a different day, I will basically do an off stream different one of the adventure paths, and I do want to do something second edition, but I'm gonna maybe start working on some of that stuff. Honestly, Anyway, that's stuff working on in the near future, and hopefully some of it will come about soon. The two games are fun.
Planning.
So theoretically,
Yeah.
I think that's it for our stuff then.
Yeah.
I'm only in one game now, and I have so much extra time that I kind of want to get another game in, but I'm also still busy doing things. So
Yes.
as much as I miss the games, I'm actually still trying to get some stuff
I'll
sorted.
be down to just 2 that I'm a player, and then Wrath I don't foresee lasting super amounts longer.
I went to the final season for a reason, just because I have a short list of things to do. There's a few side quests that I want them to do. You're going to be, the first thing you're starting out with is technically a side quest. It's visiting your hometown and
my home city.
Yeah. But Witch is the main side quest that they have left, and then it's just visiting Urborg. And after that, there will be a couple of choices, because after Urborg will be... Technically, they could go straight to the finale kind of thing, depending on what they do. But there are some things they could do to prep for it, which are kind of optional main quest lines. If they do these different things, they'll improve their chances for the finale kind of things. That kind of stuff. It's like, oh, hey, you could go straight there, or you could go do this thing that could maybe get you some new information that would help you with what's going on. I think Pizza's here, which is a good time because we're about done. That's the only reason I assume anybody would call me on the home line and not come upstairs or send my niece up to be like, there's something here. She's really bad at telling me that kind of stuff. She's just like, there's something, or someone wants to talk to you. Anyway. Thank you for joining us today. I think that's a good point to stop there.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining Lightning, Momo.
No problem.
My schedule, I don't know if I'm doing anything tomorrow. I'll play it by ear if I feel like it in the morning. I might try to get some stuff done, honestly. I was going to work this morning, but when I got up to my first alarm, I turned off my second alarm and I went, I'm going to go back to sleep. And I slept to almost noon then.
Oof.
I was fine with that. I chose to go back to sleep. I didn't think I'd sleep quite that long, but I didn't have to go to early afternoon, so it's I still an hour or two.
I woke up 3 times before my alarm, and eventually I just set the alarm off because there's no way I'm gonna sleep until the alarm goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to do stuff this morning.
Yeah, I had a list of 3 or 4 things I was gonna do. None of it was critical. It was do a couple more monsters in Buccaneers, get those done. Do a little bit of other work, I have to go through my email again. These are the little things I was gonna do. Didn't do them because I slept. Whatever.
I feel that sometimes. I'm the opposite now. I don't sleep anymore. So I get a lot of stuff done.
Joan off next week. I want to have like a week in between there, so we're gonna have one more week off, and then we'll be back. Just because I think I was originally gonna do it like the Claude special week off, then come back, but just because I want to focus on trying to like, I'm okay this week for Buccaneers. We're gonna play it with the 3 players, but I want to try to get a fourth player at least pretty soon. So I want to have like a little bit of extra time to focus on that. Because it's a little easier now because I can just throw out a couple more invites at once. I don't have to do one at a time. And then I just kind of dilly-dally through some people. Convenient.
Just throw me the dwarf sheet and I'll have a special appearance where I just show up for the combat and control an NPC. They're like, alright, the dwarf does some weird bullshit over here, alright.
He's one of my favorite classes in the game.
I don't even know what class he is.
He's a hunter.
Hunters are fun.
God. I need something simpler than that. Just give me Beefy Man the Fighter. I walk up and I hit it with a sword. My turn's over.
My husband.
You could be Owlbear. Owlbear's
yeah, I'll play Owlbear. I don't have to talk.
He just makes grunting noises.
He makes grunting noises and occasionally pulls out like a handful of tiny crabs from his loincloth and just shoves them in his mouth.
Just give him an ability that is like throw tiny crabs and have it like some kind of DC save or they get dazed or something because dazed is a lesser status effect. You like get a -2 to your attack roll.
Cone of crabs.
Yeah, cone of crabs.
Confused would be a good one because you're just confused why this man threw crabs at you.
Confused is too strong.
We should just make him a custom like archetype that's like crab master fighter or something. He gets like an animal companion of like a big crab or something.
That giant crab that we murdered.
Hey, that was worth it.
It was delicious. He could summon forth like swarms of crabs. There you go.
I maintain that I was justified in pushing for the crab murder.
I mean, it would have attacked us if we just left it there. It's a giant monster.
It wouldn't have.
It
lived there.
Had treasure.
It had a broken item. Broken master.
Actually became like good.
Yeah, because I fixed it or something.
Yeah, I mean it was.
And Yakul didn't have a weapon that worked underwater until then.
I mean, it did help then because he didn't have a weapon that worked underwater. Yeah.
My hatred for sea life has caused only good.
Sure. We'll say sure on that one.
Anyway, that's our show.
Yeah. More Final Fantasy V, and I think the other game I'll be starting is for a big game is Bloodstain. I think I'll be starting that on Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah, Virtual Tonight. Should I start with that directly, or don't they have like the 8-bit prequels?
I think they're prequels. They probably are better to start with if you want the full story. But also,
the whole experience.
It's like a Castlevania game. The story is not the main reason.
Yeah, I don't know if I have to start.
Castlevania.
I don't have to start.
Basically Castlevania. It's
Castlevania.
It's the guy who made Castlevania.
Yeah.
He's the one who made it.
So yeah, I don't know if I have to go to the.
Be prepared for weird art style and even weirder side mechanics.
That's fine. That happens. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your
Word.
The day that it is.
Great
today.
Rest of your Saturday. I'll at least be back on Monday. If I do decide to do some streaming, check out my Discord and Twitter, and I'll let you know about tomorrow. I usually leave Sunday in kind of as an open day of am I busy or feel like it, Yeah. But at least more Final Fantasy V. I'm probably going to level up. Well, not level up, but job level up more. I'm
Master Red Mage.
Master Red Mage it's $999. It gives you a really cool ability, but it's so fucking expensive.
I mean, it's only like 500 and whatever battles.
Means you have to play Red Mage.
It's actually only like 250 battles because the place I'm at, you either get 4 or 8.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's these things that give you like next to no experience points, but they give you a bunch of gold. They're called object d'art or something. They're these like things that each of them they're pretty good for farming up job points. Honestly,
Yeah, those are like the pretty good way to do it.
Yeah, so I've just been sitting there. Granted, I don't have the best way to do it, which is if you have level 5 death, they just die to that. So I actually have to fight them. Anyway. See you later, folks. Bye. Probably back to normal schedule next week for Discussing Tabletop. Bye. I'm pressing stop stream.